What up, what up, what up? Happy Thursday, you guys. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's good wherever you're at, whether it's nighttime like here in the Floridas or Friday morning if you're in Australia. I hope everybody's doing great. I just wanted to read you guys something real quick. Well, let me say hi to everybody first. That's rude. Let's see. Hello, Bethy Cakes. Hi, Shamina. Hi, Kate Does Crime. I'm going to drop the link for you in just a sec. Hey, Cement Shoes, Coolest Reviews. I saw your video, Coolest. It was awesome. I left you a comment. Hello, Thumb Thug. Haven't seen you in a minute. Good to see you. Hi, Jen. How you doing? All right. So let me read this for you guys really quick because I know some of us follow this case even though I didn't cover it. Breaking now. Debbie Collier's death ruled self-harm. The state medical examiner's office has ruled Debbie Collier's death a self-harm. Autopsy results released this week revealed the Athens woman died from inhalation of superheated gases, thermal injuries, and hydrocodone intoxication, says Habersham County Deputy Coroner Ken Franklin. On September 11th, law enforcement found Collier's partially nude and burned body in the woods near Tallulah Falls in northern Habersham County. Franklin says the autopsy results are consistent with what he saw at the scene. Quote, "It's pretty evident that she started the fire. From what I saw and what I considered to be the case is that this was a self-inflicted death, but I was relying on the results of the autopsy and the doctor at the lab to make the final call," end quote, Franklin says. In a recent appearance on the podcast Crime on the Record, Collier's daughter, Amanda Bearden, indicated that she believed her mother had self-harmed. Reflecting on the days leading up to her mother's passing, Bearden says her mother had shared with her some, quote, key intimate things and was, quote, giving away things. Looking back on it, it just almost seemed like she was giving me all of her things, Bearden said. The last time she saw her mother alive, Bearden said Collier had, quote, tears in her eyes. I'd never seen her that sad. Amanda Bearden has been under intense scrutiny since the investigation into her mother's unaliving began 68 days ago. Much has been made in the media of her history of substance abuse and volatile relationship with her boyfriend. Adding to that scrutiny was the cryptic message and money Bearden received the day before her mother was found unalive. At 3:17 p.m. on September 10th, Bearden received $2,385 from her mother through the payment app Venmo. Attached was a cryptic message that read, "They are not going to let me go. Love you. There is a key to the house in the blue flower pot by the door." That message fueled speculation that Collier was unalived by the hands of somebody else. Red rummed. Within days of finding her body, the Habersham County Sheriff's announced it was treating Collier's unaliving as a homicide. During the one press conference the agency held over the course of the investigation, Chief Deputy Murray cautioned it would take time to, quote, solve this crime. While Collier's son, Jeffrey Bearden, has been highly critical of how local investigators and Habersham County Sheriff Joey Terrell have handled this case, his sister praised Habersham County investigators for their efforts. In her podcast interview, Amanda Bearden specifically called out lead investigator George Casson for taking her mother's passing seriously. Quote, "He was fired up. He genuinely acted like this was his mother out there," she said, adding, "The criticism that law enforcement has been given, it hasn't been from me." This afternoon, now Habersham reached out to Sheriff Terrell and Chief Deputy Kogod for an update on the investigation. Only Kogod responded saying, quote, "We do not have anything to release at this time." The sheriff's office has not released any official information or updates on this investigation since the press conference where Kogod said the act was, quote, "personal and targeted." And Sheriff Terrell has yet to address the community publicly. The coroner has said he has spoken with family members to inform them of the medical examiner's ruling. And while there remain many unanswered questions, the biggest question as to how Debbie Collier passed away has been answered. I'm glad it's over, but I'm sorry for the family and all that they have had to go through. All of the questioning and suspicion and things they've had to go through made it difficult for them to live a normal life, Franklin says. I feel sorry for them, and my prayers go with them. So there you go. That's that. Okay. Let me give, this is for Kate to come on up whenever she's ready. So tonight what we're going to do is we are going to go, we're going to listen to everybody's favorite leather vest wearing. Hi, Kate. Let me make sure this is, I know it is you, but I don't care because I never get to use my peen screen. So I'm putting it up just because. Where's it at? Here we go. All right.
I love it.
I never get to use it. So we're using it today. Isn't it cute?
Yeah, I love it.
So yeah, we're gonna go over everybody's favorite leather vest wearing Ohioan.
I still can't get over his voice. It's like buggy or like I wasn't expecting that.
I'm gonna say something because it's been really bothering me for days about that. So today, after I did everything I needed to do, I put the trial on. You know, I had it in my back pocket on my phone, but then I put it on my TV and I was listening. And y'all, I should probably make a little video, make a something for the just for the channel, just for StreamYard to show you guys. But George sounds like Damien Eccles. He has the same lisp. He has the same twang.
I have to compare the two.
I'm gonna have to put their voices side by side.
I don't know, it just didn't fit with how he looks. Like I feel like Damien Eccles' voice fits with how he looks, but it doesn't fit George for me. Like I was kind of like thrown back when I heard his voice. But real quick before we move on to this, Debbie Collier, I'm not buying this Debbie Collier.
No.
Why would she text her kid or Venmo her kid and say they won't let me go if she was unaliving herself? I just have a hard time with that.
I don't know. I can't speak to why she chose the word she chose, other than she had hydrocodone intoxication. That's it. And I suspect that when she wrote that text, when she sent that text, I think she was already, you know, quite into the hydrocodones, as it were. And sometimes, hey, LFT, good to see you. And sometimes you don't make sense when that happens.
Maybe, but I'm just having a hard time with it. Like,
and think about it. We don't know what she actually intended to write. We only know what was sent. Think about how many times we have typed a text or sent something in chat and autocorrect has changed words.
Maybe.
And if you're out of it and not, in complete control of your faculties,
I mean,
you
I
know,
guess she could have been saying like it's my time to go, or something along those lines, and it could have
or,
came out wrong. But
right. Like maybe she tried to say the pain won't let me go.
yeah, maybe.
You know, I will say this. Um, I, when I first hurt my back, gosh, years ago, like 2008 is when I had the surgery. And after the surgery, I was on all kinds of meds. Like they had me on hydrocodone, they had me on Soma, they had me on Valium for the oh Lord Jesus.
Oh
How do
man, you
we
were on quite a mixture.
I know. Yeah, I was on a ton of stuff. So, for the restless legs. So,
Restless leg is the worst.
yeah.
Actually, the only thing that's ever helped me with that is tying yarn around my ankles. I don't know why, but it works.
Oh, really? And
Yeah.
it was only because things were healing and that's what caused all the restless leg syndrome, but I'm telling you, um that 6 weeks after the surgery when I was on all that medication were very dark. That there were I was really, really sad. And I think that had I not had my kiddos, because they were young then, and especially my youngest, she was 3. Yeah, 3, when that happened. So I think if that hadn't happened, it's very possible that I could have, because I mean it got really dark for me, you
Yeah.
know. So I kind of I don't know. This is what I would suggest. Even if you're dubious about it, which everybody has a right to their opinion, obviously, that goes without saying. But since it just came out, it was just released, maybe give the family a little bit of time. Maybe something, I mean, her daughter is right. She did
Yeah.
seem to be giving stuff away, and that is kind of, one of the signs. So I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out a way that us true crime content creators can fucking redeem ourselves because not that not people not like you and I, but let's be honest, the true crime community really took a quite a bit of a blow this week, um, after what happened with Michael Vaughn's mother. Even though not all of us participate in it, right? And not all of us are those kind of people, we do get lumped in with people like that. You know what I'm saying? So maybe we could just give this family a break for a few days, just
Yeah.
to kind of redeem ourselves. We could try.
Well, I mean, her son's not buying it, and I don't really blame him because of the nature of all that. And it sounds like, well, according to Amanda, that they all kind of I don't know, suspect her.
Yeah, yeah.
I just feel like all the circumstances are weird when you put them all together.
It is odd, but here's the thing. The medical examiner has no motive to not, to rule it one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing I don't
Yeah,
know.
but how do they go from being like 1,000% sure that?
Well, because law enforcement is looking at a scene, okay? And they're only seeing what they can see, right, at the scene. But when an autopsy is performed, everything is looked at. The body is opened, the organs are examined physically, then they are removed and weighed, and there are blood sample. There's tissue samples taken. There are slides made from the various, just for toxicity and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that go into it, and you can it goes the other way too. There have been times when people have arrived at a scene and thought that it was self-harm when it turned out to be homicide. It goes both ways. And so it's not, we have to I just I guess because of how I grew up around, my mom was a histologist, so I was around pathologists. And I think because of that, I just hold them in high regard. And I can't really do, but humans make mistakes and there is corruption. That is a fact. But I just don't see it in this case. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I get
So
what you're saying.
I don't know. I feel awfully, I feel awful for her family because either way it went, it doesn't bring her back. She's gone.
Either way, I feel like they're still like. I feel like the son isn't gonna accept that answer.
Well,
Maybe, and I feel like the daughter will probably be a little more inclined to accept that answer because of the situation that she's in. But
right.
you know,
Yeah, it's
hopefully
sad.
they.
I mean, that family's never going to be the same. And what I would hope is that over time, both of them can heal and come together as brother and sister, probably the way that their mother would want them to, and go become close and, go on to have families of their own and carry on like whatever traditions that she, and stuff that she imparted on them. That's, if it were me, that's what I would want for my kids. I wouldn't want them to be fighting over it.
Yeah, not me neither.
I wouldn't want them to be beefing. I'd be like, look, whatever the medical examiner says is probably what happened. You know
I
what I'm
hope
saying?
it was a typo though, because that's what I mean. Like, why would she Venmo something like
Well,
Venmoing something like that can't, like, in my opinion, put people at peace. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I don't think it was a necessarily a typo. But maybe what I'm saying is that maybe she was hitting predictive text. Um, I mean, the thing about hydrocodone is it's weird because after I had all 4 of my C-sections, I got a prescription of hydrocodone, and I wouldn't take it because it made me sleepy. But when I got prescribed hydrocodone for my back, which was chronic pain, and the C-section would have been acute pain, it hit me completely different. Hydrocodone made me
I've been
hyper.
prescribed it and it makes me hype. It
It
gives
made me
me energy.
hyper. Yeah,
Yeah,
it made me
same.
hyper. And so, but you feel hyper, but then there's, if you take a little too much, you know what I'm saying? Then you will get tired. You know what I mean? And you will be out of it.
Yeah.
So, um, I don't know. I don't know. It's sad either way, honestly, whether or not either way it happened, she's not here anymore, and I'm sure, and her family, I'm sure,
Yeah.
misses her dearly. Sad. I feel awful for them. And I hope that they find peace in whatever way that is for them, because that's all I can do. But
Yep. I
I'm just
agree.
going to accept the medical examiner's findings. That's all I can do.
Yeah, man, there's nothing that anyone can really,
Mm-mm,
can't really do anything besides that.
exactly. All right. So should we talk about old Jorge?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So y'all, I watched like I said I would because I couldn't turn it off. And I have to say, you guys, so when I watch, obviously, my preferred channel is Law and Crime. And I have to say, let me say this real quick before I forget. So remember when I was saying that Law and Crime was charging for stuff? What they're doing is it's memberships basically, and they're showing like additional content. All of their trials are going to still remain free to watch. This would be, like extra bonus content or whatever, but whoever is running their YouTube channel didn't go in the studio and um like add what is it, Kate, that you add, like a section. They didn't add a specific section for members only. And so what it was making it appear is that and they were using the same thumbnail as like Pike County Massacre live trial, that they were using that exact thumbnail, but for their members only content. And it was confusing for folks. It's me. folks. And I was upset because I thought, how are they going to sit here and freaking charge us for, I've been watching Long Crime Network since the Nicholas Godejohn trial. All right. Like, come on. I'm not,
Yeah.
But then, okay. So anyway, that's that. So I was watching Long Crime, and y'all, people do not like Angela. Is it Angela Canepa? Is that her first name? I know it's
The woman who
Canepa.
did Cross.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of her either. I
A
was
lot
kind
of
of
people don't
disappointed.
like her. I mean, they were giving her the business in the Long Crime Chat. Like, they were like,
I don't think she did a good job. I mean, I think she did okay bringing
mhm,
out like his attitude a little bit and
mhm.
pointing some, things out that didn't or inconsistencies, but she didn't have that like that fire. You know what I mean? That like I don't know. She's missing something for me, and I don't know what it is, but she's just not doing it for me.
I do have some criticisms for her, and because there were points in the cross-examination where she could have gone a little
Didn't
harder.
she sound like she was saying things under her breath too a lot? Like
Okay,
I don't.
yes, a little under her. It was intended to be shade, okay? But hey, Jennifer Hooligan, my preferred level of shade is very direct shade. There is a way to do shade where it's not like, I mean, it's shade, right? So it's not intended to be a full out insult, but it's also not intended to be you want the person you're throwing the shade at to recognize you're throwing the shade, but really you want the people listening to whatever shade you're throwing to get a chuckle out of it. And she's not
Yeah.
good at it.
No, not
You
at all.
know?
It comes off like very unlikable. Like that was bothering me, like the under her breath thing. And like you said, I feel like there was times where she could have went a little harder, where she just
It
like fell short.
it felt yeah, it fell short and it fell flat, and there were several opportunities, and we're going to get into it, where she could have gone in and she didn't. And I will say this.
Especially when she asked about the murders and stuff. Like
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, and I will say this. Not this isn't so much about George himself, but it's more to his lawyers, okay? They did an excellent. Hi, True Sacred, my other half. They did an excellent job prepping their client. And there are several times where she asked him a question and he corrected her and said, "That's not what I said." And that is indicative of your lawyers prepping you. And they did a good job prepping him, because that is they knew that whenever he took the stand, it's risky for him to take the stand. Anytime a defendant takes the stand in their own defense, it's very, very risky. And you, as a defense attorney, you want to try to prepare your client for anything and everything that the state is going to throw at them, all of the curveballs. That's important. And when a prosecutor asks you a question, and inside of that question they're repeating back to you something they said you said, but they don't get it quite right, it is important as a witness, especially if you're the defendant, to correct that so that it's clear in the jury's minds. But you have to be real careful about the tone in which you do it, because that can also come off as, to the jury, argumentative and, uppity. And, you have to, it's a very delicate balance. And I will say that there were times when George did not maintain that balance, that he did come off as impatient, uppity, and there were several times when he was testifying that his face. See, George on the stand is not the same as George at the defense table.
Yeah.
He is not capable of maintain, and maybe he hasn't been this whole time and we just haven't seen it because we've only been seeing him from the profile. But he had some, like, he had a multiple times he had a clear stank face. That's the only way I know how to describe it. It was just a stank face. So I'm gonna share this. Well, not like that. I'm gonna share the screen. And I went back just a little tiny bit to before the morning break, because that's where I stopped, just to have a little refresher, because Kate was here this morning, which, by the way, thanks for coming in and supporting my stream. I really do appreciate it. Now, due to the fact that this stream is 8 hours, 4 minutes, and 44 seconds, for whatever reason, when they're long like this, closed captioning isn't available. I don't know what the deal is, but it's not. So I don't want to speed it up because he's kind of hard to understand anyhow. So
I hate when they don't have closed captioning.
I know, me too,
Drives me
especially because
bananas.
George is a mumbler.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Oh, wait a minute. No, we're not going anywhere because I didn't add it to the stream. Dope. All right, here we go. Now for reals. Here we go.
Started trying to see him.
Oh,
you didn't allow.
Let me rewind it a little bit.
See him anytime that she wanted to see him.
Hey, Mo. Because Canepa's about to start grilling him about seeing his son.
Okay, I'm going to hand you what's been marked as quadruple K.
I watch like bits and pieces. It'd be like a little bit here, and then I got into doing something, then I came back. So I've seen like sections.
Yeah.
I did see this part though.
And I think so. They're also the state put on the Special Agent Schneider today. That was but they still haven't rested, and they're not calling. The jury's not supposed to be there until 1 o'clock tomorrow, because I guess they're going to finish up the. I'm telling you, I'm right, aren't I? Cement Shoes. He sounds like Damien Eccles.
That's something to do with my CDL.
I nodded off a little bit today. And I mean nodded off because I was tired, not because I was under the influence of anything. But but I kind of sat up when he was talking because I was like, why is Damien on?
If I remember correctly, it has something to do with RNL. That's why I used that address.
Well, you're providing false information to a state agency, correct?
Wow, this audio is such trash. Is it only in one ear for you too?
Stay out of the awareness of tabbies.
I might have to put my headphones in.
Okay, but you were trying.
It won't help it. I've got my headphones on, and it's only in one side, which is really it's disconcerting.
I can tell it's only like one-sided because it doesn't have like a surround sound to it. It sounds like it's very like
monotone. Come on, Law and Crime, get it together. We want Dolby surround sounds.
No, it was his advice to not contact Tabby.
Okay. And also, you guys were preoccupied with, that was one of the reasons why you guys didn't want Beth Ann to get a job,
No,
right?
we don't. Or blowing kisses
at
the families. Such a mistake.
And you thought they might come across her and then know suddenly where you guys lived.
I had no.
I'm going to have to stop you right there. This is a learned woman. She is educated. She has a Juris Doctorate, and she used the word across. It's you didn't want to come across Tabitha at the Walmart or the grocery store or whatever she said, but not across. Oh,
getting a job.
I can't already.
Okay. But you did have concerns about Tabitha trying to make contact with you before the 1-year term was up, and therefore you couldn't use this abandonment thing.
No.
So you were not trying to do abandonment?
I was not trying to get Tabby not to contact me. I was not contacting her. There's a difference in that.
Tell me about the abandonment.
According to Clark, that if she went a year without talking to him, it was abandonment. And I didn't see it as, from my attorney's advice, he said with what the paperwork said, it's not my job to contact her. If she doesn't contact me, that's on her part.
So you were waiting and hoping for that 1 year to pass.
I was waiting on the 1 year mark, so if she started trying to start her stuff, like she eventually filed, which I now know was under BCI's advice,
By
that
start her stuff, you mean seek to have contact with her son.
no.
Not
I
in
mean, by
it.
trying
What?
to get
Hold
her
on, I
mother
gotta
and her
stop.
sisters to see him.
Yeah, we got it, George. You're a jerk and a liar. Okay, so I have to correct myself. It wasn't in court. What it was outside of the courthouse. They were yelling homophobic slurs at him, and but the family happened to be there. One of the families, I can't even remember which one it was now, but they were hollering and yelling, and he blew kisses and did the tongue flick or whatever. I don't know what that's called. I'm sure there's some kind of he made the tongue flick gesture and licked his lips, and people were just set on it, just went all over him. All right, now back to Jorge and his lying liar mouth.
Go to Tabby. So she left.
See
on
right
November
there. Let's go to
11th,
Tabby.
2014, right?
Yes.
That was the last day she was there.
You're letting the
Last
witness
day she lived at the house. yes.
dictate the questions, but okay.
And you indicated yesterday that you had 6 weeks where you tried to patch things up, but then found out that she was still not being faithful to you. And so you went over there in the middle of the night and told her, forget about it.
That we were going to get divorced at that point, yes.
Okay. But in fact, you had already filed those paperwork. You had already filed the dissolution.
Yes, we were starting over from ground zero.
I don't even know what the fuck that means, George. You were gonna get divorced to date, to then get married again. I don't understand. See, these are the important follow-up questions that I would have asked. Angela or
This
Canepa,
is
whatever,
joint
Miss
exhibit
Canepa, just
number
tag
one.
me in at any point. I'll be happy to help.
Referring you to page 4.
He does look a little ring bearer-ish. I keep waiting
Very
for him to
tall.
bust out with the pillow.
First of all,
Cement
do you know what
shoes.
that document is?
It's the dissolution agreement.
Dissolution.
And what date did you guys sign that?
I really can't read this handwriting. Maybe go to a different page.
Well, that's the,
I can't read that.
And I want the person who's been in court the last few days with that horrible
26th
cough
day
to
of
get
November,
somebody send them some
2014.
Ricola
Yeah,
or
that sounds
Ricola,
about right.
however you say it. They need some cough drops. Some
Two
yeah,
months after she left,
Ricola. They need some Sucrets or something. Jesus fuck.
and
It's
you
awful.
It was agreed upon that me and her were going to try and fix things and start from ground zero. And that if
I didn't know that,
fixed
coolest
it
reviews, but
before
I don't think these fools follow the
hearing,
Bible.
then we were not
I mean,
gonna
I'm
go through
pretty
with it.
sure the first commandment is thou shalt not kill. And I'm a heathen, and
And
even
she
I
just
know that.
Continued to mess around with her best friend's dads.
Mm.
And it was final January 26th of 2015.
But I think that's what the document said,
Jennifer,
So a little more than 2 months later,
something like that.
it's finalized. Okay. And you know that in there, it says reasonable visitation as agreed to by the parties, right?
Yep,
That she'll have supervised parenting time with the minor child as can be agreed upon by between the parties at reasonable times.
yes,
And you're to cooperate with the parenting time schedule.
yes,
And they agreed they will cooperate as to parenting time at the holidays.
yes.
But you didn't do that, did you?
I did do that.
You did do that. So why is it in March, 2 months later, she's sending you certified mail saying that she wants to have regular visitation every Wednesday?
Your Honor, am I allowed to go into detail with this?
You have to answer the question.
I'm sorry.
For the detail
He asks
of
that
it,
like every other
she
question.
canceled as many times to come visit as I did.
The fact that he
majority
turned to
of her
the
cancellations was because she wanted to bring her mother or her sisters with her.
And we'll walk through that. Mom, you felt contributed to her abuse.
Yes. Technically, her mother held her down.
You weren't there.
I had her mother tell me this out of her own mouth.
See, right there. That's when he gets
And-
persnickety. And she could have
you ever
gone
file
in for
charges
the
against
a
her?
little harder and brought it out more, but she backed
I did not.
off.
I was
Yep.
under the influence that unless one of the girls said something, that nothing would be done.
I know, Jennifer the hooligan. I'm
Someone
terrible.
confessing to you like that would be pretty powerful. Regardless, her sisters were victims, right?
Yes.
They didn't abuse anybody. Yes
in
or
their,
no?
In their own words, no, they did not.
Okay. So why is it you would not permit her sister, the aunt, one of the aunts of your son, to come visit at your house while you're there supervising? What could have possibly
Hi,
happened
Tia.
during that time?
Because her sisters were doing the same thing that her mother and them did. Marrying men 30, 40 years older than them, thinking that it's okay if a child gets molested.
Oh, dear.
Okay, so you really have no clue whatsoever what her sisters think, correct?
I know what they have all told me in my presence.
Can y'all give me a thumbs up if you don't mind
For
before I
people you
forget
don't
to
really be
ask?
around at all, you sure have a lot of conversations with them about really intimate things.
I spent a lot of time with them before my son was born, yes.
Okay. So, again, what could have possibly happened with them being there, with you supervising?
I couldn't answer that one. I don't know what could or couldn't have happened. I just didn't want to take a
Well, would
chance.
you
Bruh.
let anything happen?
What's
I
up
wouldn't
with
let
the
them do
bots
anything with my son
tonight?
in my
They
presence,
hardly
no.
ever bug
But there's
me.
always a possibility, but I might have to answer a phone call or something. I didn't want to take a chance.
They knew I was going to be here.
It's for you, huh, Kate?
But
Me.
the fact remains.
Are they working for you?
Tabitha
You
believed
sent them,
that this
didn't
was a
you?
temporary situation, that once she got on her feet, got
I
her
sent
own
the
place,
fembots.
got a job, was able to provide for Bovine.
Well, then
that this
the only recourse I
arrangement
have
that
is
she
send
signed
in
in
the
January of
lasers.
2015 would change, correct?
Can I go into detail on this?
I have a mouthful of food.
Okay. So 2 months later, because she didn't want Bovine around her stepfather either, right?
That's correct.
That's the man who abused her. Correct?
That's correct. She didn't want him around him either.
Okay.
So
Why do his eyes get all
but
bulgy when
once
he
she
answers
started
questions? They get all
talking
like,
to see him,
you notice that? He does like a weird
You can
eyeball.
tell-
Yes.
I
He
allowed
also
Tabby to
has
see
the
him
one
anytime
eye
she
that
wanted to
blinks
see him.
slower than the
and
other,
that's
so
not
it's
true,
almost
because you
looks
just
like
got
he's
done saying
winking
he
and it
canceled
creeps
just
me
as
out
much as
just a
she
little
did.
bit. I've been
You obviously-
mesmerized by it
I
this
have
whole
canceled due to
time.
work, and I've rescheduled, said come a day later or 2 days later. And when I would call and say that we got to do it on this day, she would say that she had to go with her mom or her boyfriend and couldn't do it that day.
Okay. You saw her messages to Hannah where she talks about very much missing her son and wanting to see him and you not letting her, correct?
I don't doubt that Tabby would have liked to have seen Vine, but I never kept her from it. She canceled the same as I have.
See, now for me, this would have been since it's a little, you're allowed to lead on cross, right? Because it's cross. And you have to keep your cross. The questions you ask on cross really are based on what the scope of the direct examination. Okay. But he opened the door for Tabby's mother. And Tabitha's mother is who was speaking to Hannah. It's the messages between Tabby's mom and Hannah that allegedly were the catalyst that set all of these events in motion, because
Oh, I thought it was Tabby. I didn't know it was her mom.
it was her mom. Her mom was offering to help Hannah get an attorney to get something solidified in writing through the courts for custody. And that is what was the alleged, part of the catalyst for all of this. But it was when Angela Wagner saw that text exchange, because she had Tabitha's login information and she saw the texts, or Hannah's log information, and she saw the text, and it apparently went all over her. And that's when it she was already upset about Hannah dating other guys and allegedly, I'm not exactly sure who has them. LFT, the other side of the family, the Manley family, I think, not anybody from the Wagner's side.
I did think she did a good job showing how like paranoid their family is, though. Like
She did,
Yeah.
but what she should have done is then right then when he started talking about the when she brought up the messages, why she didn't go deeper and say, yeah, but it was Tabitha's mom that was trying to help Hannah get an attorney, to prevent Jake from doing what you did, which is take her kid. And she could have gone in on that one, and she just didn't. And I don't know why. And I'm a little bit bummed that she didn't.
Yeah. I feel like she did that with like a lot of stuff. Like she started going somewhere, and I'm like, oh, she's gonna get him, and then she kind of just backs off. Like
she like stops short, and I'm like, what are you doing? Go in for the kill. Look, his his jugular's exposed. Get him. Because they don't have anything tying George to the crime scene. They don't really have anything tying any of the Wagners, quite honestly, to the crime scene. Really. There's really
she did a good job making them seem like she'll do a good job making things seem this way and that way, but then when she has the opportunity to really like go in, she just stops. Like it's
kind of disappointing. It's like, oh, here it comes, and then it's like, no.
Could council approach just a minute?
Oh, yes. Okay, this is where they take their morning break. Morning break. Morning.
If you could look at that, tell me if you recognize what that is.
Hey, squirrel.
Does Tabby have bovine now?
Yes. It's bovine. I thought it was bovine too, like the cow, but it's not. It's
bovine.
Bull. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. They call him Vine a lot.
Yes.
So I thought it was
this
bovine.
poor kid. Not only is he going to have to grow up with this whole situation being part of his family history, right? But he's not even going to be able to get a bike license plate from Walmart. You know they don't have one over there in that in the toy aisle that says Bullvine. You know they don't.
Anybody's signature
Oh no, not at all.
Okay, and do you know?
Yes, Tia, you heard correctly. BULVINE. Bullvine.
When was that purchase made?
George is his name. Bullvine is his son. And the leather vest son is Bullvine. Correct. That's what's up.
8/16/15.
Okay.
Oh, wow,
and that
squirrel.
Would be the weapon that you bought this scope for, that your dad bought the scope for you.
Yes.
A month later, approximately.
That is a leather vest.
Yes, it is. This is day
He wears
40.
it every single day.
Correct. This is day 45 of trial. This is day 327 of the leather vest because he has worn it to all of the pretrial motions as well. This is his uniform. This is his preferred ensemble. And that's that. I thought it was silk as well until one day Law and Crime Network decided to zoom in a little too much accidentally. They got a little heavy on the zoom button, and I was like, holy hell, this leather.
Okay, and can you tell us the date on that?
It is 3/17/16.
Yes, Jennifer Bradford, absolutely. And this is him after losing a considerable amount of weight.
It's a Glock 17.
He used to be about 320.
Okay. And where did you purchase it?
He does fill it out nicely.
Probably pleather.
Bill's Bait House.
Well, I don't know. They may have. He may have
And
taken
you
apart a
remember he got
car
the
and
Walmart.
got
Walmart,
some
I believe.
insurance money and bought a real leather vest. Who knows?
Correct. And all
And
that
quadruple
poaching he
valve
did.
3.
Yeah.
Maybe NK is writing him while he's in jail and helping him with his macros.
I think this is.
That'd be an excellent
the
job for
purchase
her.
form.
She could just be a prison nutritionalist.
Okay. And
Right.
what is that?
Beretta 9
She does
9mm.
like bad men.
And that's a weapon you purchased
For my father, yes.
Wonder if
From
you can
your
get
father?
Thrive
For
patches
my
in
father.
prison.
for your father.
Ooh, probably not.
So I want to, well, you tell me, when did you guys move to Peterson Road?
Take your
Early
time.
2014, I believe.
You've only testified about this 87 times, George.
And you were still living at Peterson Road in 2015 and 2016.
I swear to God, the
You lived there until May
elderly
of
community
2017,
across back behind
when
me,
you
that place
Leave.
stays lit. They're forever partying over there.
Alaska, right? Okay.
It's 8:52 on a Thursday night, and they're out partying.
Accurate.
Right.
I want to be
information
like
on
them
those
when I
files,
grow
correct?
up.
Yes.
It's a federal offense not to, when you're
Yes.
purchasing a firearm, right?
Yes.
Okay. So if you could go ahead and look at it and tell us what address you put down there?
It's 845 Bethel Hill Road.
Okay, but that's not where you lived.
Not at the time. My license hadn't expired, and when I bought my firearms, I was advised just to use what was on the driver's license I had and taking time to change it.
Who advised you to lie on a federal form?
That's what I was advised by the people I bought them from. They said to put the address that's on my license.
They certainly did prep him pretty good, though. He has an answer
did.
for everything.
Yeah, he does.
There is a warning right up at the top indicating that you have to provide accurate information, or that it's a federal offense, and I believe it's been 10 years in prison for that.
And though he says it with an attitude, he says it with conviction. I'll give him that.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though, Canepa. You've got him now admitting to filling out a firearms, whatever that is, whatever the hell they're called, purchase. He lied on a federal document. So if he gets acquitted on these charges, go after him for that.
Yeah. Can they get him on those like petty insurance fraud stuff?
Could they?
It says.
Yeah.
that,
I don't know. I have to. Have
Like
to
a
see what the
limitation
statute.
determine whether you're
They
able
might
to
have
own
a statute
firearm
of
or not.
limitations on him. I don't know though.
Yeah.
Which might be why he's so comfortable admitting, hell yeah, we set shit on fire all the time.
He's really comfortable admitting it.
Yes.
At least all the petty crimes for sure.
Yes, but the insurance fraud, he had no and he explains it too. Yeah, I feel like this is not indicative
I'm gonna
or
turn
a
your attention
representation
to
of
the top of
Ohioans
2.
at all. I think these people are atypical.
They're
From
strange people. They're very
H.
strange people.
Yes.
There's a part of me that like feels bad for him and Jake because I feel like the way they were raised.
Yes.
They didn't
have a chance.
Yeah. Like when you're homeschooled and that stuff's like engraved
And
in
you see
you,
that it says.
it's probably hard to live
You
on your
understand that
own
making any
and
false,
figure it out on
oral, or
your
written
own.
Statement or exhibiting
Yeah,
any
it
false
is.
Doing it the
representative
whole way.
identification of this transaction
is.
is a crime punishable as a felony
Yes.
under federal law.
Yes.
Be funny if
at
he
least
told her, I'm not a
three had
criminal, I
previously
can
before.
read.
You did not provide accurate information, correct?
And as far as the driver's license address, no.
Not only did she homeschool you guys, but George, she did not want George getting his GED.
Talk to you about
She
the
wanted
arson
him to
on
have a
Cecil Hill
diploma,
Road
and he
of
wanted
the
no part
home,
of it.
the
So
last
she
home.
took the tests for him.
Okay. You indicated that you knew it was going to happen.
Yes,
Okay. And that you moved your belongings out of the home
yes,
before it was burned. And that was right after you guys had been told that your grandmother was going to be selling the property, correct?
not directly after, no. It was, let's say, 6, 7 months before, or 6, 7 months after we'd been told.
Okay. And how long did you have to get out?
In the beginning, or last, or.
What are you talking? What do you mean
I think in the
beginning?
beginning, it was a year or two, something like that. I
Okay.
could be mistaken on
And
that.
then the last was what?
The last few months,
Okay. So the last few months you were there, you knew you had to get out?
yes.
Okay. And so what was the plan for getting out? Because you guys couldn't sell the property, it belonged to you, right?
No, the initial, my grandmother offered to let us have one of her rental properties.
Okay, but you guys didn't want to do that.
If we wouldn't have had anywhere else to go, that's what we were gonna do.
Okay. So instead, this plan becomes that you're going to burn the house down, get a good chunk of money.
That was my mother's plan to burn it, yes.
Okay, but you went along with it.
I didn't stop them because there was no stopping them. I just told her I wanted
You
nothing
could have
to do with
told
that.
somebody.
Okay. But then, well, actually, Jake testified that you were present inside the house when the fire was started,
I
correct?
was not inside the house when fire started. I was working on my truck.
Okay. And
Oh my gosh, cement shoes.
you did profit from the fire, correct?
If you count living on Peterson, yes.
Would you
Would
count?
count living on Peterson?
Eventually, it was going to wind up being mine and my brother's.
Okay. And you were able to have the money to buy that, correct?
Yes, my mom and dad bought it.
It's in your brother's name.
It's in our name, but it belonged to them. It was just to skip, I think it's called inheritance taxes at the end. That way, if they passed, we didn't have to deal with that.
Surprisingly, they knew a lot about.
Frauding the
Not for
government?
their part,
Yeah.
it had nothing to do with theirs.
Yeah.
It had
Like,
the
I'm
fact
over
that
here
we
taking
wanted
notes on how I can get out of my
played into
car
it, was
loan.
used as
Like,
collateral.
Give you good.
It was majority to skip inheritance taxes,
Okay, so trying to circumvent the system, more or less.
to skip inheritance taxes. Same thing that my grandmother done by skipping my dad to leave the farm to us.
Okay. So, but you got that house. I mean, you told us at the
Under-
border that
under
you're in your
legal
brother's
name, yes.
house and your mom lives with you.
Under legal name, the house belongs to us.
Okay.
The place was still technically my parents' place.
Okay. And when you sold the house on Peterson, you used it to pay off all your debts, right?
Yes, we paid off our debts with it.
We.
Correct.
Get
You
it.
guys all shared the money.
Go
and
in.
Paid off all of your debts.
We paid everybody's debts off with it, yes.
See, right there. Here comes the disdain.
And
Oh.
you heard Tabby testify.
Here comes the
that
stank face.
She helped fill out the receipts and stuff afterwards, correct?
If she did, I wasn't aware of it.
What exactly were you aware of, Jorge?
Were you aware that there were receipts made for purposes of insurance?
I'm aware that my mother's done it on every house. She's filled out receipts for stuff that's supposed to be in the house.
Okay. And how are you aware of that?
Because she's sat down for hours at tables and stuff, so I'd be coming, going, writing out receipts and looking up prices of stuff.
Okay.
Huh.
Angela seems like really neurotic.
Angela seems like a crime
And
syndicate.
that basically gets
Right?
used
Like,
to
she seems
increase the amount
like-
that you guys
but
collect
she's
from
so,
insurance,
like,
right?
everything is
Not
her
really
idea.
increase it. It goes on to.
Yes.
Like, your normal insurance
Like
policy,
all
you've got
like
your
she's like
insurance on the structure.
I feel like
A
she's
criminal
like-
mastermind.
But this
Yeah,
year,
and kinda, like,
contents check
push all
page
the
stuff,
guys
they
to do
want
this
proof of
stuff
what was
for
in
her.
there.
Yes.
Okay. And.
Yes, Bethy Cakes. That's the that's it right
You
there.
always have
She
insurance
just
on
doesn't
both.
force him to answer. It's
Pretty
annoying.
sure she had insurance on both every time.
Yes, like Ma Barker. Very
Continue with your mark
exactly.
as States Exhibit CC 288R.
Holy crap.
If you could look at that and just tell me
Tell me if what? You just like stopped.
She lets him get away with that detail stuff too. Like, you gotta cut him off and be like, no, this is a yes or no question. She did it like once, but like she lets him ask if he could do that several times
Yes.
without cutting it short.
No, she needs to. I just. Special Prosecutor Canepa, call me. I'll help you. You know the law, but I know how to read people for filth. Promise. Yes, Jennifer, absolutely. And yes, she, bless her heart.
This is the Gambino family version of Appalachia.
I know. Hey, Incognito Gypsy, how you doing, babe?
That's true, Jennifer.
I know. Jennifer comes out with some good zingers. You know, us Jens tend to be funny gals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you recognize that?
I don't recognize the.
Hey, Allie, good to see you,
itself. I've
babe.
never
Hope you're
seen it,
doing
but it looked
better.
like my mom's handwriting.
Okay, and what is the writings of? What are the writings of?
My understanding is just different stuff that she's wrote down for receipts.
Okay. So cast iron cash register, $30. Vintage brass hurricane lamp with milk glass scope, $75. eBay brought 3 years ago. Survivor hatchet, 2 of these, $49.99 each, $100 total. Bought 2 years ago, flea market, right?
Right, stuff like that.
I mean, it's really no argument that Angela is shady as fuck, right? Like, I think we all know that. But
And again, you were aware of that. You certainly didn't tell on her.
there you go.
What was the
Now-
question?
Did you ever tell on her for
No.
doing those things?
No.
Okay. And again, but for that money, you would not have been able to buy your own home, correct?
And pay cash for it? No.
Correct. And in fact, you said your dad, who thinks he's so smart, wasn't really smart and lost $50,000.
He did.
And that you therefore had to borrow money from your grandmother.
Me too, Bethy. I really don't get it. But this is generational because Frederica Wagner, with her rental properties, they were like lease to own. They were owner finance. And no matter, like, right as it would be time for them to make their final few payments or whatnot, she'd kick them out.
They said the grandpa did petty stuff, like petty crimes too.
Mm-hmm.
10-ish, if I remember.
Her
correctly,
husband, I
something
think.
like
Mm-hmm.
And you said that was your usual bedtime.
that. Usually somewhere around there.
Okay. All right. And so do you recall, again, being interviewed at the border and saying that the 4 of you, well, the 6 of you actually, your mom, your dad, your brother, yourself, Sophia and Bovine, were watching a movie and you were up until, you didn't go to bed till 12:30.
Don't remember what time it was.
Okay. Do you remember telling the border, at the border, the agents, when they asked you about what you did that night, you saying that your mom had fixed cheeseburgers for you and how delicious they were, and she makes the best, and maybe one day she could make them for them?
Don't remember that now. I'm not saying I didn't say it. I just said I don't remember.
Okay. So,
See, this
you
so
indicated that you watched a movie,
it's got to be quick.
a fairy movie, correct?
What?
She sounds unsure of
You indicated that
herself.
you watched
Yes.
A fairy movie,
Don't remember what.
a movie that Sophia wanted to watch.
I remember watching a movie with the kids at this point. I don't remember what it was.
Okay.
It's been a long time.
And you indicated that that is when your son would usually go to sleep as well.
My son usually went to sleep between 10 and 11 usually,
Okay, so
from what I can remember.
is there a reason that you would lie to the people at the border?
I'm not saying I did. I'm saying I don't remember what times I told them then.
Okay,
I mean, it may have been. From my memory now, I remember going to bed around 10-ish. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I remember.
yeah, well, because now we know that Chris Senior and Gary were being killed at 11 p.m., right?
Don't know that.
You don't know that?
No.
You don't know that that's when your dad had Chris call his phone and you saw the phone calls, correct?
I'm saying I wasn't there. I don't know when Chris had died.
Right. Okay. You know that's what Jake said.
I know my brother's time is off on everything that's been showed in here.
Oh, sweet Jesus. This is a
You saw
nightmare.
the information about the phone calls from the CIU analyst that testified here, right?
Some of
Saying
it,
at
yes.
10:55 p.m. is when those,
I don't remember what time it showed on it, but sometime around that.
okay.
So you don't think it's important to pay
And
attention in court?
You
See?
heard your brother say that that is shortly or immediately upon those phone calls being made is when Chris
Well,
was
he was
shot,
sitting there
correct?
taking all them
I think
notes,
that's what he
wasn't he?
Right. And so
So
you're,
now
hold
we
on.
know at least
We're
according
pausing
to
it.
Vince
I don't want to talk over
Senior
you,
and
Special Prosecutor Canepa. That's rude. I'm not a rude person. But like, look, this was a golden opportunity. He is on the record. Those questions, those interrogations, interviews, whatever the hell you want to call them at the border in Montana with BCI, those were recorded. There is a very clear record of what he was asked and what he said. And she is not driving that point home. And I would have brought up, okay, so either you don't have, she needs to bring up the fact that the BCI agent that testified about those phone calls wasn't all that long ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, 14 days ago. So how can we trust anything that you're saying here today in court if you can't even remember what happened 2 weeks ago? See, she needs to tie it all together. I'm telling you, Special Agent Canepa or prosecutor, please call me. I will help you.
She just lets him answer, and then she moves. It's like she moves on. Like
Yes.
It's almost like
He's running the show.
He's running. Yeah, like she feels very not insecure, but just like she doesn't have it together, and he's paid attention, and he's kind of like getting her at her own questions, and it's like, come on, man, like you.
Yeah. Like,
why are you letting this guy outsmart you?
Right. I mean, he didn't even get his own diploma. His mama took his test. And he's, dodging and weaving. It's like watching Muhammad Ali and George Foreman fight.
Right.
The first time. When Muhammad Ali just wiped the floor with him.
Yes, he's.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't that the Thriller in Manila? Wasn't the rematch the Thriller? I don't have to look it up.
And Gary were killed.
This is completely a side project. Right? Let me just look this up.
Your story at the border.
It's going to make me crazy.
Possible, right?
Again, I don't remember exactly everything I said at the border.
Well, I assume you were trying your best to tell the truth when you were interviewed at the
border. Oh, no, Joe Frazier, the third.
To my knowledge of what I remembered.
Okay. And this was much closer to the time of the offense when you were interviewed at the border, right? It was
a year and a half, I think.
Well, it was May of 17, which is a year.
A little over a year.
Just a little over a year, yeah. And now we're at 6.5 years later?
I think it's around 6.5, maybe a little more.
Okay. So would you agree that your memory would have been better then than it is now as far as times go?
I can't say yes or no because I really don't remember what I said back then.
Okay, I'm not interested as much as what you said, as much as
I gotta walk away from the mic for 1 second.
All right, babe.
Then
I can't.
We could use Ezra's prosecutor, but you know who else we could use?
You were trying to be honest with
Camille Vasquez. Hi, anaphylaxis.
You certainly weren't trying to provide a cover story for you and your brother and your father.
Because she was
mother.
rapid fire.
So this whole idea that we're going to coordinate our response and say that we were all together, a family night, movie night, watching a video. Surely you didn't just make this up when you told
No,
people at the border. It just happened to be the same story that you guys had agreed in advance to tell.
there was no agreement in advance. My dad came down, my kid didn't want him to leave.
I did like Chaslow's prosecutor as well. Both of them were good.
You indicated that you watched some fairy movie that you, I think, maybe got bootlegged. Some friend of yours downloads them and then gives them to you guys.
His name was Brandon something.
His name is Brandon something?
I think it's Brandon.
Okay. You don't know his last name?
No, I never did.
Brandon, the
He's dead,
bootleg
right?
movie seller.
POD, from what I understand.
Okay. And how did you know him?
He sold movies that he downloaded.
Bootlegged.
He used to be a corrections officer.
Oh, really,
Quit
Squirrel?
that and started selling movies.
Okay. And you indicated that your son usually crashes out around 12:30, and then he gets up usually an hour later and wants apple juice, and then you put him back to sleep.
That happens quite a bit with the apple juice thing.
Okay.
He usually wakes up all times of the night screaming for apple juice.
Huh. All
And
times of the night, huh?
you indicated that that probably happened that night.
Possible it did. He usually does. I don't remember exactly at this point, but it's possible.
Oh my God. How do they keep
So
finding
your
me?
story today or yesterday,
They're
is
never
that
hardly in
you
here.
actually went to bed at 10.
From what I remember at this point in time, I believe it was 10-ish.
Okay. So despite the fact that your son usually crashes at 12:30, you went to bed 2.5 hours earlier?
Lord.
Just at this point, I remember him going to sleep. I just remember him. I don't remember exactly at what time at this point.
Okay. So again, would you agree that your recollection of when your son usually went to sleep?
You know, they
being
could be
12:30 in the morning,
they could at
would be
least
more
give me a
accurate
thumbs
than
up
now?
on the stream. So rude.
12:30 in the morning.
Well, 12:30 a.m. I mean, shortly after midnight, half hour after midnight.
That's sometimes, majority of it sometimes.
Okay?
Oh,
I mean, you
I'm
said
sorry,
usually.
Allie.
Yeah, usually that's when he like runs himself out. His normal go to bed time is earlier than that, but sometimes he winds himself up.
You know, Bethy, it is a curse to
And
be
you
so well
indicated
liked.
that
I'm
you were
kidding.
all four
I'm
there
totally
watching
kidding.
this movie.
Can you imagine if I was that kind of person, though?
So
I'm back.
how
You're back.
could
Welcome back.
Blake and your father have been up on
The porn bots
hill
are back,
killing
too.
Chris Sr.
Spent them while I was away.
I figured.
hour
I've
after
got to
you-
step away from my mic just for 1 second, Jen. Boom, porn
went into
bots.
your bedroom.
Dun, dun, dun.
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, they probably are looking for her.
But
Cement
your story is
shoes.
they were just sitting there watching the movie with you.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Come on, Aunt Canepa, let's go.
And then did you
I
fall
gotta
immediately
look her
asleep?
name up. It's gonna drive me
Can't
nuts.
remember at this point in time.
Okay. And again, would you agree that probably your recollection back then is better than it is now?
It's a possibility.
Okay. Do you remember telling the agents that you usually look at Facebook for about an hour after you go to bed?
Sometimes I do. I don't remember telling them that, but sometimes I do.
Okay. And do you also remember that you said there's no way they could have left that night without you hearing them?
I remember.
Yeah,
I don't believe
Angela
that, but
Canepa.
I believe I told them I couldn't see them getting down the stairs without me.
Hi,
hearing them.
Heather, whatever.
If I remember, it
You
might not be enough
actually-
wording.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
you
Allie.
actually
I'm so
insisted on it
sorry.
and said it more than 15 times to the agents at the border.
I remember saying a lot. I don't remember how many times.
Okay. So you were adamant that there was no way, because of where your bedroom is in that house, that anybody could have left that night without you knowing that even when the neighbor down the street gets in their vehicle and leaves, it wakes you up,
The neighbor down the street drives a Dodge Diesel like we did.
right? Okay. And also because of where your bedroom's located with the stairs, anyone leaving from the upstairs, correct?
I always heard my mom and my kids come down the stairs because they sound like I heard a buffalo coming down it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you indicated your dad had gone up the stairs that night with your mom to go to bed.
Don't remember on that. He might have, but I don't remember.
So you don't remember now.
I
But
don't
back
remember.
in 2017, when you were talked to with the agents at the border, when you were trying your best to be honest, right?
Yes.
You told them that your dad went upstairs and went to bed with your mother.
It's a possibility. I don't remember saying that, but I might have.
Was that true?
I don't remember the statement. I don't remember.
I'm
seeing-
asking you, is it true?
So
that your
refresh
dad
the
went
statement.
upstairs with your mother?
Yeah.
At this point, I don't know because I don't remember.
Okay.
So then grab the paper and say, well, look, this is what you said, word for word.
Right. Exactly. So let me just pause. Let's just take a moment here to just really break this down. So why don't you ask him specifically and directly? Forget about what you said in 2017. I'm asking you right now on whatever the fuck day it is today, November, whatever. What is it? November 17th, 2022. Did your dad stay the night at your mother's home on April 16th, 2016 or April 22nd, 2016? Like, how hard is it to ask that? Well, obviously, it's very fucking difficult because you see how I just struggled. But shit, I don't get paid for this.
But still, like, there's so many things she could just do to be a little like tougher. She like the spicy came out for like a second and then
Yes.
like a balloon just deflating, you know?
Yes. My girl, come on. Get your spice on. It's not going to hurt you. That's what I would have done.
Yep.
I'm going to start a PayPal pool right now for me to go to lawyer school. No, for me to go to
Yes.
college
And
to
then
become an
you
attorney.
indicated that you
We need Jen Lou and
got
all
up
the crosses.
around 8:30
We
or
do.
9 the next day, correct?
We need Jen Lou to be
Around
prosecutor
daylight,
and
around an
defense
hour,
attorney in
maybe
certain cases.
And at no point did you indicate to the agents at the border that your brother was already up and it surprised you because usually you're the first one up.
They've never asked that. Not to my knowledge.
They asked you what you did. They asked you what you had for dinner.
They asked me what I did that morning. I went to tear down the building.
Okay. You indicated they asked you what time you got up.
Don't remember that part.
Well, if you don't remember that part, then how are you so sure anything that you've testified to today is an accurate recollection?
Yeah.
You can't even remember what took place in the motherfucking courtroom 2 weeks ago. Shut up. Pass the witness.
You agree that you owned numerous SKSs, correct?
Yes, more than I can put a number on.
Oh, perfect.
And you would agree that when the search was done at the Flying W at your grandparents' home where you were storing your guns, correct?
Yes.
That an SKS was not among those weapons,
No,
correct?
it was not.
Okay. And you indicated that your brother had owned an SKS as well.
Yes.
And you recall that he did not like the SKS, correct?
I recall that's what he said.
Okay. That it jammed on him?
An older version SKS.
Okay.
What does
Not
that have
the
to do with
one
it?
He owned at last.
I was just thinking the same thing. She shouldn't even have talked about the brothers SKS. She should have just stayed on
And
track
where
with
did that
his.
SKS
Like,
go that you owned?
Yes.
now you're creating doubt.
Exactly. Because
Actually,
now
Ben
you're
McCann
making
has
it.
the AR-15 is what you told us.
He has it too, with multiple other guns that I've sold him.
Okay. Well, curiously, you left that SKS out of the list of guns you owned and out of the list of the guns that you gave to Ben McCann when you were interviewed at the border.
That SKS was sold long before that, in roughly middle 2015.
Okay. But you did not indicate that to the agents at the border, correct?
They never asked me about an
They
SKS.
asked you what guns.
I'm not
you
all that
owned.
young, squirrel. I'm 45 years
And-
old.
If my memory
I have
serves
no
me right,
college,
around the
so I have
time
to
of the
start
murders.
like day one.
And you gave a long list,
Yes,
including this AR-15,
yes,
and at no point did you mention the SKS.
because it was gone before that.
And when Special Agent Scheider wanted to talk to you about that gun list that had the SKS under your name, did you talk to him about it?
I told him to talk to my attorney, and he never asked about an SKS. He asked about a Colt 22.
Okay. But he sent the gun list to you, correct?
Yes, but he didn't
And
ask
you're
about
keenly
anything.
aware that the SKS is listed under your name, correct?
At that point in time, I had no knowledge of an SKS being used in this, and he had never asked me about any SKS or anything other than that Colt 22 on that list.
This was a flop.
You
This whole
certainly
gun
became aware of
questioning.
that once we started talking to people, correct?
Oh, aware of what?
That
Oh,
the
God.
SKS was of interest.
I don't remember becoming aware of that until after I was arrested.
Did you ever tell us? that
That's a
that
good
SKS
point,
was of
Squirrel. I
interest?
mean, I said I have time.
Have you ever told us that?
Nobody's ever asked me, so it's a no.
Oh, what are you, Simon Cowell now? That's a no. We're not on American Idol.
Have you ever owned a 1911 22?
No.
Has your brother ever owned one?
To my knowledge, no.
So his testimony that he had this for more than a year, you were unaware of that.
If he's owned it that long, I didn't know about it.
Okay. Well, obviously there's a picture of them holding that weapon in 2015,
Now I see that the picture's his, but back then I didn't think
but
it was
he
his.
hid it from you.
What is it?
He hid it from you?
If he's had it that long, he must have.
Huh?
Or he
I'm
just
out of
never had
curiosity,
it.
why would you do that? Because you guys keep your guns in your safe, right?
According to my brother's statement, he said that he'd owned every one of them guns on that list, and I've not seen over half of what's under his name.
You failed to answer the question.
You did,
You
George.
guys
And let me
keep your
just say,
guns in your safe, correct?
Most of them.
you were doing okay up until then. All right, because let me say this. If I'm just as qualified to be a juror as those 14 people that are sitting where off camera where we can't see. But if I were listening and judging you based on this exchange right now, I don't know that you want to put a whole lot of emphasis on your brother being a liar at this point. See, your brother being a liar doesn't actually work in your benefit, because if he is a liar, then we can't believe that his testimony is accurate, and his testimony is that you didn't pull the trigger, but that you were there. So it's very problematic for you to be talking so it's really a catch-22. You probably shouldn't be, though, harping on especially the guns. If your brother took credit for owning all of those guns, especially the guns that were used in the commission of this motherfucking crime, you probably should keep your mouth shut about that. I wouldn't argue that point.
Yeah.
Of course, I also probably would not be involved in a murder plot where 8 members of a family were gunned down in cold blood and in front of children. But, that's the difference between me and you, George.
I mean, unless he tries to like chalk it up as like a brotherly feud type thing, and like he hides his gun from his brother because he doesn't want him to take him, and
Well, yeah, but how would he be able to do that? Because George has already testified that they all kept their guns in the same safe. They kept their guns and their money in the safe.
What guns your brother owned, and well, you went through the list with your attorney when you
Yes.
were and you knew guns that he owned,
Yes.
right?
Some of them.
So you're saying he owns guns you don't know of?
I'm saying it's possible. I've owned hundreds of guns that he
For
didn't
over
own.
a
Oh,
year,
Jesus,
he owned
fuck.
a
Don't
gun and you
volunteer
weren't living there.
information.
It's very well possible.
You've owned, see, and then Angela, you back off. He just admitted to owning hundreds of guns. Get him on that. Is that note in there? It should be. Bless her heart.
Have you ever known him to own a 1911 that is not OD green?
Yes,
When?
several of them. His first one was a Springfield. After that, he had a original Colt 1911, and after that, he had a line.
Ah, so you do know about your brother's guns.
So you do tend to know what guns he has.
I know some of the firearms he's owned.
Oh, just some? Okay. Seems like you know more than just some. Come on, Angela, get him.
You would agree with me that you are a self-proclaimed hunting junkie,
Yes,
correct? Okay. And by that, that's one of your favorite hobbies to do in life. Is that fair?
I would say it's my number one favorite.
Okay.
Ask him to talk about the hunting.
And you indicated you hunted more than your brother did.
Probably 100 times more than he did.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And he testified that you kind of did the investment in hunting or the research approach to it, where you would put up trail cams and
Hold on, I'm
have
going to
grow
pause him
plots
really
and-
quick because I want to
and,
point something out
and
here. So what she's trying to do, bless her little heart, is so one of the things that Jake said, okay, is that George was supposed to fire the first shot at Chris Roden Sr., but he froze, okay?
Yeah, he
And
chickened out.
He
Right?
chickened out, he froze. And so Jake then it fell on Jake, but Jake couldn't see around the oil filter homemade silencer that he had attached to his pew pew. And so that is what caused then Billy to have to act quickly and do the phone call bit, okay? But what she's trying to do with this hunting thing is if you it's not the same thing, obviously. I'm not saying that people who hunt deer or any other animal are in the same category as people who unalive humans. But what she's trying to say is that he is an avid hunter, and it would be very it's highly unlikely that he would freeze in that situation. And so, but she's not doing a good enough job of it. What she's got to do is get him to talk about hunting, how he hunts, right? And what happens if you don't take your shot. So she's just not,
Well, that's a great idea.
she's not
That'd be-
connecting the dots. And that's the problem.
Mm-mm.
Now, because look, the truth of the matter is under the Ohio statute, actually under most state statutes, in fact, I think all state statutes, you don't actually have to be the person that did the physical unaliving in order to be charged the same way as the principal, which would be the person who actually pulled the trigger in this scenario. You can be charged just exactly the same. She doesn't actually have to prove it, but if you're I don't know, you don't have anything physical tying him to the crime scene. You've got to get him to admit something.
And, study the traveling of the animals, etc.
Yes, I've
Correct?
spent thousands of dollars on deer.
Okay. And you sometimes hunted at night with Chris and Randa.
That started at Peterson, and it wasn't sometimes.
Yeah,
the majority
Bethy,
of
you're
the
right.
time.
Okay. The majority of the times when you hunted, it would be at
That's a
night or with
that's a
Chris and
good
Randa?
After
counter,
moving to Peterson,
squirrel.
it would be both to that.
but
Okay.
Also, hold on, I'm
Obviously,
going to pause
Jake
this because I don't
accompanied you
want to
some of those times,
take
correct?
away
I mean,
from
his
this. That's a good counterpoint, right? So yes, he would be more aware of what a pew, what the effects it has on a body, right? Which, I mean, a deer, it's a living being, right? And I'm not making a judgment about hunting, just to be clear. We're just talking biology here. But he also has testified about how he was raised. And one of the things that he testified to was that his dad used to take him and his brother around and look for cops. And if they could spot the cops before their dad did, they got money. And he also taught them how to spot surveillance camera. So
Yeah.
they were raised to do what their dad said. And the theory is that while Angela was in charge of, she's the one that came up with the idea, right? But they all sort of participated in the if then but clauses. But Billy is the one who, when it came down to it, implemented it. Because if Jake's testimony is true, all right, and George froze and Jake couldn't get the shot because he couldn't see, right? Then, but for Billy, none of this would have happened. If Billy had not distracted Chris Roden Sr. by having him call his cell phone, then all of the Roden family would still be alive.
Or if when he stopped the car and was like, yeah, sure, y'all want to do this, and somebody would have said no.
Exactly. You know, exactly.
But
Or
part of me feels like I would be afraid. Like
What
if I knew how crazy this felt, like you can tell George does recognize that his mom is a little like cuckoo, you know what I mean, in a way.
Mhm.
Like I would be, if I were someone in their family, I would be scared to go against them. Or like, you know what I mean?
But he did go against his family. See, that's the
He
conundrum.
did, but he like went, but then he went against them, but still was with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, yes, that's a good argument. But what I'm saying is, when you're either afraid and intimidated of somebody or you're not. You know what I mean? And for me, George picks and chooses when it's an appropriate time to be afraid and intimidated, like convenient times.
But it makes me wonder if he's like, you know, I don't want to kill somebody, but I know like if I don't go with them and you know what I mean, like be part of this, they're gonna like, you know, give me hell for it. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like I just feel like that family is so crazy. If they feel you're against them in any way, suddenly you're like the enemy.
One
You know
thing
what I
that nobody has asked George, including, I don't think the prosecutor asks him this either, which I would be curious about this answer, is why did you go that day? Why did you go? What would get George out of what might get George on what might get the jury on George's side? One person, that's all it takes.
Yeah.
Is if he said they have an arsenal with them. I had to go. And once we got there, they still had an arsenal with them. If I didn't do what if I hadn't gone, if I hadn't done what I was told, I could have been next. He could have made that
Yeah.
point.
I mean, that's how crazy they were, though. Like, for real. Like, they thought Beth was, like, sent by BCI to infiltrate the family. They thought everyone was trying to essay their kids. I mean, they thought if you weren't them for, that
Mm-hmm.
you were an enemy that... And I can't imagine if one of their own decided to be like, no, I'm not doing this. The like effect or like, you know what I mean? Like if
Oh, yeah.
it went against them, the effect that it could have, because they would suddenly be paranoid of them. You know what I mean? Because they're so freaking paranoid and so weird. I could just almost see, like, I don't know, maybe they're just now, because he just seems a little bit insecure. It comes every once in a while. It comes out. You can see that he gets a little testy, but he has like an insecurity about him,
Mm-hmm.
where I feel like.
And I think
Like-
one thing we have to remember too is he's testifying in hindsight. He has had these crimes occurred April 22nd of 2016. We are at November 17th of 2022. It's been 6 years. For fuck's sake with these bots. He's had
On a roll
plenty.
today.
I know. I this hardly ever happens to me. It's kind of exciting. Nobody ever does anything in my chats, which I'm grateful for. Honestly, I am. Don't start acting up, y'all. Usually I don't hardly ever have to even mod the chat ever, other than be able to drop links. That's it. Hang on, let me remove them. Anyway, he's had time to think about it. And the thing of it is, when I am listening to George, I'm listening to what he's saying today, but the mindset that he is in 6 years down the road is very different than the mindset he was in 2016.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't know. I don't know how
Well,
I
I
feel.
feel like maybe he's a little bit more empowered now that his family's behind bars. You know what I mean? And they're not
Well,
like.
and that they turned against him. I mean, I
Yeah.
think for him to see, and this is something I wanted to tell you guys, and I'll tell you where I got it from. Anjanette Levy has covered this case like forever. Okay. She knows this case inside and out. She's talked to a ton of people, and she's on YouTube. In a minute, I'll get you guys her link and post it. But she went live last night, I think it was, and I watched her before I went live, and she was talking about Angela Wagner's testimony. And one of the things that she said, which was I found to be very, very profound, is when Angela entered the courtroom, when she was called as a witness, she walked up to the witness box, okay, and she's got the shackles. Her hands are shackled at the waist, and she did not look at George as she was walking. She looked straight ahead, directly at the witness box. When she sat down in the witness box, she did not make eye contact with him at all. She didn't even look in his direction. In fact, she actually turned in her seat as to not even out of the corner of her eye, not be able to catch.
That's crazy.
And then, of course, you have Jake, who got up there and testified and everything. And so, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm going to have to sit with his testimony for a minute, but I am a little frustrated with him and with her, to be honest with you.
The
Pretty
winter,
elaborately about,
the Winter Olympics, he's been 3 times that I know of.
okay. And how many times would you say you've gone?
So many I couldn't put a number on it.
This is a true crime community, porn
Not
bots.
any
We're not
accuracy.
going to be clicking any
And
old
Winter
links.
Olympics is code for hunting at night or
Yes.
poaching.
We're leery of strangers because
And-
this is the kind of shit we watch all the time.
In addition to your father having you spot police officers and surveillance stuff, et cetera, did he also have you watch what you say, especially in areas or situations where you could be being recorded or listened to?
My whole life.
This is an excellent point, but she needs to drive it home a little bit more.
And you indicated that Jake's gone maybe 3 times hunting at night. How many times in your life would you say you've done that?
Me hunting at night? I can't put an accurate number, but I'd say thousands.
Thousands of poaching times. Wonderful. See, she needed to drive that point home a little harder. She needed to follow up with, so you're familiar with not make ways not to make incriminating statements, something to that effect. You know what I'm saying? Like she needed to follow that up. That wasn't quite enough.
Yeah.
It's better to just do it a little extra for the jury's benefit than not do it enough.
I feel like she needs to get something more detailed. Like, I feel like,
Would you agree with that?
all right, how can I explain this? Like, I know it, like, I feel like they proved enough that he was there and that he planned it, right? But I feel like she's not getting enough detail out of them where they can be like you lied about this specific thing because you knew that it had to do with the crime scene or the murder. Like, it just almost seems like, say he didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
He would still lie about whatever because he was taught to distrust police. You know what I mean? I feel like they haven't gotten something detailed enough where they can say, you lied right about this particular thing because you know this was, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's
she it's like with the whole the night of, right? Where she's asking him like what they did that night, yada yada yada, versus what he's saying now versus what he said in 2017 when the BCI got him in Montana. What she needed to do was really, oh no, Allie, I'm sorry, honey. Oh, that's awful. I'm sorry. What she needed to do was really pin him down on the details. She needed to put up an image of the inside of the home because they have it of on Peterson, okay, and have him point out where he slept. And she needed to really drive home, how is it possible that your dad and your brother could have left that home and you not hear it? How would you be unaware that they left? Don't open the door to the murders, right? But just the fact that they left, because he said it a lot, and it just sort of fell flat. And that's one of the details that she could have hammered home. She could have hammered home his timeline too. Well, how could they be watching a movie with you and Bullvine and Sophia if they were out at the Rodin farm doing ABC, committing these crimes? They can't have done both. So either you're lying today or you were lying then, but either way, you are a liar. See, if she would have hammered that home a little, but she didn't. She just sort of let him get away with it and hopes that the jury picks it up. And the fact of the matter is that this is a trial where this jury has been presented with a ton of evidence. And really, the most damning evidence against George are those wiretaps. Those are the worst thing that they have against him. Everything.
Even when she brought up the wiretaps, he had an excuse for everything he said. Like it was like he got her on that too.
Exactly. Like she's just, but this is her one and only opportunity to get him in front of this jury. And on top of it, it's additional pressure because this has been done out of order. The state hasn't rested their case, which I thought was, first of all, it's odd to me. And I thought they were done calling witnesses. And when they called the BCI agent today, I was shocked as hell because I thought they were done.
Yeah.
And that the whole reason that the defense was going ahead and starting their case had nothing to do with, and I'm talking about with George, not the first time, because that was scheduling. But right now, they're presenting their case because the state isn't able to rest until they get all of the agree on what evidence is going to be admitted and sent. The jury's allowed to use in deliberation. And because there's so much, that takes a lot, an extraordinary long amount of time. So that part I understood. But when they had the BCI agent up, I was shocked as shit. But this is her one and only time to get him, and get him. You're not getting him, ma'am.
Mm-mm.
And I think he's guilty as hell. Do I think that do I think he pulled the trigger? Probably not. But do I think that he cleaned up the crime scene? Yes, I do.
Yeah,
Do I
I
think that he destroyed evidence after the fact? Absolutely, I do. Yes. And I don't believe for a hot second that he was unaware of this crime at all. They involved him in every other crime plan.
Oh, I think he was there. I just think he didn't shoot anybody, but I think he
Right.
helped, do the rest of the stuff. But
Yeah.
but I think he's gonna get up. I think he might actually get like a way lesser charge than they're hoping, because I don't know. They're doing that.
She's opened the door. I'm not even going to lie, you guys. Like, I have to be realistic here. And there's the burden is on the state. We talk about this like 11 billion times. The defense only has to get one juror. And I got to say, up at this point right now, I think there might be at least one juror with reasonable doubt.
I think she's almost made it worse.
Yes.
Things that they may have been felt confident on, now that she's opened the door to certain things, like the freaking wiretaps.
Yes.
I mean, he had an excuse what everything he talked about was, and she didn't do good with that, and that kind of makes me feel like, oh well, maybe they'll have doubt about those wiretaps, which was a pretty damning thing. So now
Exactly. Because the defense's assertion about those wiretaps really has been from jump that they cherry-picked portions of conversations, and some of the conversations are out of context. That's what the defense's argument has been from day one. And I'm very frustrated.
I believe Chris said that I am the best hunter. I don't think he said whenever he's gone.
Okay. You just said that you are the best hunter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Jen, absolutely.
I could be wrong with that statement.
Hi, Seth. How's it going? Good to see ya. I'll be right back. I need to refill my drink.
That you,
It'll take me 2 shakes of a lamb's tail.
also pride yourself on
All
being
right.
a very good mechanic.
Yes.
Okay. And specifically a diesel mechanic, correct?
Yes. I'm worthless on gas.
Okay. And I think you indicated again to the agents that you referred yourself to as a hunting and diesel junkie.
Yes.
Okay. Was Jake as good of a mechanic as you were?
As a diesel mechanic? No.
Okay. What about a gas mechanic?
No, but he was a really good body man.
What do you mean by that?
He was good at doing body work.
Okay. You talked about Jake being more obedient. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And that he did his chores.
Yes.
Okay. That he played with action figures when he was a boy.
I wouldn't call it a boy up until his mid-teens.
Okay. But he would go along with you hunting and fishing and four-wheeling and such, correct?
On very few occasions. Maybe 10% of the time at most.
As far as hunting goes?
As far as hunting goes, yes.
Okay. Fishing?
Fishing, he might have went 20-30% of the time. When we was really young, he just sat on the bank and played with action figures. When we got older, he
I
might
feel like
throw a
she
line in the water
even
and
makes
be
it
spending
look
time
like
out there
here
swimming.
that like Angel and Jake would conspire, like that they would both throw him under the bus so they avoid the death penalty. Like
Yes.
it
And
solidifies it even more for me. Her like separating him and
Yes.
Jake from the
Yes.
mom. Come on,
Yes.
man.
That's not what you want here. That's not, no,
No.
Angela.
Like I'm
No.
so like I'm even starting to feel doubtful about
I know. And
like
what was
it's
the
like
point of asking about the fucking action figures?
I have no idea. But now I'm like, man, would Jake and Angela throw him under the bus to avoid the death penalty? Like, that's the shit running through my head because now she's making it look like Jake and
Okay, Allie.
Angela are thick as thieves.
Yeah. Yeah. And George is the odd man out. And the only
Yeah.
person that ever listens to George was his dad, but then his dad got on the Adipex and other pills, and his mom, and his mom and dad argued so much that Billy kind of left the home, and um you know it's just, George is out here all by myself. You know what I mean? You almost want to have it.
I feel bad for him, and I don't like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I don't like that I'm feeling this way for him, but I'm like, all she's doing is like making me be like questioning the family's motives, and maybe he is like. Now I'm questioning it. Like I would be that
Yes.
juror where I felt like I don't know if I could do this because there's doubt in my mind.
I would have to be back in that jury room talking about, listen, y'all, I need to seek some cahooting, or I'm gonna hang this jury, because that's how I feel. So you show me where there was cahooting, because I can definitely see there was cahooting between Angela and Jake. George had no motive.
Yeah.
George had no motive to be there.
None.
None.
And you referred to him as a religious fanatic.
Yes.
Correct.
Read this.
And that he had a pesky
You're a
habit
Diesel
of
guy, so why didn't your
telling on
son
himself
name your
if
son
you
Diesel? Objection,
broke
Your
the
Honor, and I
rules
moved this train.
of your parents.
As a child, yes.
Okay. So he would willingly, voluntarily.
I'm
break the
shocked he
rules,
picked Bovine
but
over
then
that.
when he got back home, he would tell.
Watch
not
what
just
she
himself,
does
but
here.
you as
This
well.
is terrible.
In reality, he wasn't really the one breaking the rules. It was me doing it, and my uncle, and he just ran back to tell mom.
Okay. And the rules that you would break, that he would tell on?
Not put the four-wheeler on the road, or not go over this person's farm across the road because you've got to pass the paved road and stuff like that.
Like I don't understand where she's
Yesterday
going
you
with
said that he did that too, correct?
Sometimes he'd tag along, but very seldom. He'd go like
But he
2
would
miles
put the
an hour.
four-wheeler on the road too, even when you weren't supposed to.
Occasionally, yes.
Okay.
When
But then he would tell on himself.
This is
would
what
tell
she's
on
trying to
me and my
do.
uncle, and
What she's saying is that Jake came out the womb being a snitch. He's a tattletale. And that even when he was involved, he would rat on himself and his brother. And what
Gotcha.
George is saying here is, no.
He ratted on me.
He ratted on me and left himself out of, left the part out of the story where he broke the rules too completely out. But she's not, again, I'm getting it, but this is also the second time I've seen this part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
not put his name in it. Even though it got found out he was in it too eventually, then he just didn't get no trouble. We did.
But he wasn't lying.
As to,
You actually did put the four-wheeler on the
yes,
road.
we did. But when he would say that me and my uncle made him go with us, that was where he lied to my mother with, and she always believed him.
And you actually talk about that with Jake, again, about how my whole life I've been in trouble with you because of you telling on everything and telling honesty.
Yes.
And everybody says my anger mouth is going to get us in trouble, but it's always been your honesty that gets us in trouble,
Yes.
correct? And you say, children, you have to tell on yourself. Children, you have to tell on me.
Yeah, as we're children. That's what I'm referring to as when we're children.
You should have left that part out.
And you also tell him that he should have gotten rid of the phone and he should have smashed the laptop, correct?
Yes.
And again, that's because we got a lot of evidence from those items.
My understanding of it was that he kept saying you guys were twisting stuff that you found on it to try and frame him.
Booyah.
Mm-hmm. See, he's that's
You
a
got it.
reasonable explanation, though, and they don't have anything to prove otherwise.
Nope.
You would agree that your mother was a mother figure to your son.
I would agree that he looked at her as a mother figure. She was the only woman in the house.
Okay. And you would be gone
Wait a minute, I have to tell you guys
5
something.
days a week. And then when you come home, you don't.
There's a trigger warning here. She's going to repeat something that George said on the wiretaps with regard to Sophia. He calls her a bitch, and just brace yourselves for it.
You'd often go hunting,
Yes.
See, I'm not good at giving
So-
trigger warnings. Clearly,
raising him.
After I was
I
working
don't
for
think
her
you're
and I
supposed
was
to
home, I spent
say
all day
what
with my
the
son,
trigger,
hounded all night
what's
with Chris.
coming that's triggering. I don't.
I'm
Sorry,
not
you
good
guys.
at it because I just kind of like in my mind, I'm
An
like,
hour a
oh, it's a
night
true crime
between-
community. Like,
That's how
Yeah.
I am. In my mind, I'm like, okay, it's true crime. You know, shit's about to get real,
yeah.
and it's good.
So
And
I
you're
just
probably
be like
in there some
leaving it
messed up
out,
stuff.
and then
I
I, wait
know,
till after it's already said, and I'm like, whoops, trigger warning.
Me too. I do that too. I'm notorious for being 5 minutes late on a trigger warning.
Yep. See.
It's a running joke over here.
Earlier morning when I come back for Chris.
Okay.
Same schedule I had when I was in R. That was truck 1-2 hours a night's what I lived on.
That was not company policy though, right?
No, it is not.
You're supposed to get way more sleep than that.
You're supposed to have at least 8 hours.
So you don't have a problem
And
not
you did
following the
more than just
rules,
hunting
right?
At night with Chris as well, correct?
Oh, Allie,
You would
I'm
scratch-
so
go scratching
sorry,
at night with
babe.
him as
No,
well?
that was during the daytime.
During the daytime on the weekends?
Yes,
Okay. Take your son with you?
yes. Multiple times I took my son with me to do that.
So you never went scrapping with Chris at night?
No.
And you would get catalytic converters, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and how would you get those?
So when you go around people's yards, I mean, I can go through Waverly here and show you a couple thousand of them. You'll see somebody with a junk car sitting up on blocks, and you either trade a gun for it or you buy it outright. If the car's got aluminum wheels, you take the aluminum wheels off. If it's got a battery left in it, you take the battery out. If it's still got the converter on it, you cut the converter off. The batteries, the wheels, and the converters get sold separately, and the car gets sold as car body weight.
Okay. And is this during the time that sometimes then they would report these stolen or not?
Converters have always been stolen off of new cars for years.
What?
And at one time you had like 15 of them.
I've had more than that at one point in time.
Oh,
My
perfect.
Uncle Chris and his fathers had a couple hundred of them before at one point in time. We would stock them up for 6 months, a year, however long you want to stockpile them. And either we would haul them ourselves to Columbus and sell them, or we would sell them to people that my uncle knew or his dad knew that would haul them themselves, and we just take a discount so we didn't have to haul them all the way up there.
Okay. And you said then the cars would be sold for body weight.
Yes.
Okay. Did you ever put additional weight in the car to?
Sometimes you throw washers and dryers in there. Sometimes you throw scrap metal, tin, whatever you can throw in it to add weight.
Okay. Any non-metal thing you would add?
Not to my knowledge, just weight.
Okay.
Anything that was metal, aluminum, steel, anything to add weight to it.
Did you or your uncle ever get in trouble for doing that?
I believe my uncle, his dad, and Derek got in trouble for having 2 or 3 of them without titles at one point. But my understanding of that is they had a scrapper's license and was allowed to do that. I don't know the real logistics of it, but
Yeah, catalytic converters are
Do you have a
expensive.
driver's license?
no, I do not.
They sure are. We got
My
people that
understanding, the
steal
purpose
them
of
all the
having
time
one was
around
you
here.
didn't
You
have to
wake
have a
up and
title
don't
to
have a
scrap a car.
catalytic converter. And
I
I'm in the
understand the
suburbs.
reason for having one. Every one I bought had a title with it.
Back to your mother. Did your son consider her his mother?
To my knowledge, the only thing I know is he called her Amity Mommy. That's what he
Okay.
started with.
All right. And in fact, you got upset when
Here it comes,
Jake
y'all.
told Sophia that she could call Beth Ann mommy.
Not that she could call Beth Mommy, but he was forcing her to call her Mommy.
Okay, well, that's not really what you said to him, though, because what you
May have been
said,
in different words, but that's what he was trying to do to her.
okay. But what you actually said to him is that now you have to go home and tell your son the cold, hard truth that your mom is not his mom.
That's not what I was having to tell him the cold hard truth, though. He knew his mother was Tabby. I've told him that many a times. But now I had to go home and explain to him why his mother was not in his life.
He didn't know Tabby wasn't in his life?
He knew Tabby was his mom, but he hadn't seen her in over a year.
Okay, I'm very confused right now. Your son, all his life, knew Tabby that was his mom.
Far back as I can know, I've explained to him that his mom had issues.
So why did you have to explain that to him again?
Because at this point, he wanted to know the real reason as to why his mom wasn't in his life. Because Sophie was going around saying that she had a new mommy and he didn't.
Okay. So this whole thing about the granny and, being upset that Sophie had explained that that was his grandmother.
It was over me having to explain to Vine why Tabby had left. It's not easy to explain to a 5-year-old those circumstances.
Well, you'd already explained to him that mommy had issues.
That was in the beginning. Now he's older with more understanding.
There's the stank face.
The buggy-eyed stink face.
Mm-hmm. She's just allowing so much time to elapse between questions that George is being able to collect himself. She's got to.
She's not getting him flustered and keeping him flustered. She
Exactly.
stops. Like when she gets him flustered for even a second, she stops and lets him chill.
Exactly. Like, you've got him on the ropes. He's stumbling around. Come on. Not now.
It's like in Mortal Kombat when they start doing like
Yes.
shim, and they're like wobbling,
Yes.
and she just like walks away instead of doing
Yes.
like, the final move.
Instead of doing the fatality, she's over here. Friendship.
This is the call where you said she can't keep her nose out of somebody else's life. She being Sophie.
Yes.
And Jake says, George, she's 4 years old.
Yes.
You said she does anything deliberately to try and crush him deliberately. Bitch got to ruin everything. You referred to your niece, your 4-year-old niece, as a bitch because
Would
she
you
was
like explanation?
telling.
I've explained this before. 5-6 days with no sleep and caffeine, you say stuff you don't really mean.
Yeah, you said a lot of things.
It makes you
didn't mean.
irritable.
Sure.
And she went around telling my son that she had a new mom and he didn't.
You called her a bitch. You remember calling your grandmother Frederica a crazy whore?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember telling your mom to calm that crazy whore down?
I don't remember that conversation. Am I saying it's possible? Yeah, I've probably said something like that.
Okay.
I've said a lot of stuff in my being upset that I really didn't mean, but I've said it because I've been days without sleep and massive amounts of caffeine.
Sure. And
As Kate and I have
called
previously,
Brenda,
let's
I
pause
think, a
this really
lady.
quick. Kate and I have established this morning. I'll go ahead and tell you guys. You all know my routine. I have a 5-hour energy, immediately followed by a cup of coffee. I have never called a 4-year-old out of her name. I have never screamed and yelled here or
I will
there.
say I've probably called my son an SOB every once in a while under my breath without him knowing, though.
That's different. That's different.
But I've never
Because-
screamed and meant it with conviction. It was more just like, son of a, you know.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing. We Kate and I have had plenty of caffeine in our systems, and we've been under stress. We've been in stressful situations. It's hard out here on these YouTube streets for a creator. Y'all know it is. And neither of us have lashed out here or there, not in a box, not with a fox, none of that. George, caffeine did not make you lash out like that. Lack of sleep probably made your fuse a little shorter, but at the end of the day, the reason you said what you said is because you have disdain for women, and that goes back to your disdain for your mama. You got mama issues. The end.
I've called her that more than once.
I mean,
Okay.
I've never ever
And you told
ever in my whole life ever referred to either one of my grandmothers as crack whores. And my mom's mom knew I didn't like eggs.
Oh,
And
I
that'll
would never, ever call
never.
my grandma a crack whore. Ever.
I've never called my grandmother anything
Other
outside
than an
of
angel.
correct. Now listen, I was not close to my mom's mom. My grandma, not close to her. But she wasn't really close to any of me or my sister. She was close to her other grandchildren. Okay. And even when that old lady made eggs for breakfast, and you guys know how I feel about eggs. I don't like them. I have never liked them, and I will never like them. The end. And she thought she was going to stall me out, have me sit at that damn ass table all the way till lunch. And when I wouldn't break, she had to call my mama 2 hours away, and my mom had to tell her, Mom, you're not going to break her. She's never going to eat those eggs. Did she eat everything else? And my grandmother said, yes. I told you I don't like eggs. I've never liked eggs. And but I never, even though she knew I didn't like them and we were not close, I would never call her anything other than my grandmother, an old lady. But she literally is old, or was. She's passed away now. But my Nana, on the other hand, my dad's mom, never would have made me eggs, always had candy, and always had 2 liters of every kind of soda pop you could ever want in your whole life, because my mom wouldn't let us kids drink soda. So, but my Nana did. My Nana was an angel right here on earth. And let me
If I
tell
was
you,
sick, she brought the homemade chicken soup.
yes,
If I needed this, my grandma just had everything for everything I needed.
I used to call my Nana every Sunday, and we used to have the best talks. And you know where I get my pettiness? My Nana.
Yeah.
Yes, it's generational. My Nana was a petty, judgy, hilarious woman. She had a quick wit, and she was super snarky, and she was a fucking angel. So I don't give a rat's fat kneecap what your grandma was doing, George. You don't call your grandmother a crack whore. As disrespectful as fuck. Even if she is a crack whore, you don't call her that.
order that you,
I think
thought
that's the
that
best
Hannah
she
turned
got him
into
on
a
yet.
Yeah,
From what everybody else was saying.
fucking around and calling Mimas out their name.
and that was after she had left Jake.
What everybody else was saying after she left Jake. To my understanding, I don't think she ever really did, but that's what everybody else was saying.
Okay.
Oh, he called Hannah WHORE. I'm not going to say put those two together.
And you
Rest her soul.
certainly called Tabby
Yeah.
a whore
Many a times.
and referred to Beth Ann as a whore, just like Tabby.
Many a times.
Hey, Mark, when'd you sneak in? Good to see you.
Now, despite the fact that you say that
Oh, for fuck's sake.
your mother
Canepa with the ums and the
thinks she's better than everybody else
breaks.
and you have your differences, you certainly also have some strong areas that you guys agree on, correct?
Can you be more specific on
Sure.
that?
I mean, you indicated that you severely, severely hate anybody who hurts a child.
I mean, that's not a,
And that's the same with your mother, correct?
it's not a negative quality.
I assume it is.
Nope.
Well, now, you know that that is, right?
My mom has paranoia issues.
She has paranoia issues.
Yes.
Okay. She thought that Sophia was being molested, correct?
That's what she's claiming.
Okay. And she thought that Beth Ann molested Sophia.
That's what Sophia said.
Okay. And so you believe that?
Did
You
I believe
believe
that she'd
that-
done it?
Yeah.
I believed it was possible. I did not know 100% whether she did or not, but I believed it was possible.
Okay.
Instead of taking the chance, I just wanted her out of the house.
Right. And you also believed that she was going to kidnap your son and sell them to a cult in Texas.
From what she made the statement before about belonging to that cult, yes.
Which cult? I need more specifics. I'm from
That was
Texas and I don't know of
when she
any
was a
cult
child.
like that.
My understanding, she was
Some
early
cult
teens,
about
was my understanding.
trafficking, something like that.
A decade prior.
That she was a
Don't know
part of.
exactly how long.
Okay. But
Yeah,
you were
apparently
concerned
she had
about that.
told him that she was part of some
Okay.
cult
You also
before.
thought that she was.
Yeah, in Texas. I'm from Texas. I never heard of that cult. And let me just say this. Texas watches. Look what happened with the Branch Davidians. Look what happened when the
yeah.
FLDS church tried to move in El Dorado. You think
Mhm.
those people, when they started, they were side-eyeing them at first when they bought that land, because what they were told is it was going to be built like a retreat for like businesses, where you go and do the like trust building exercises and shit like that.
Yep.
That's what they were told it was going to be. Well, when they started construction, and first of all, the people that they had building, that was deeply troubling to the residents because they looked quite young. They did not look OSHA approved. And number two, the way how they were going about it, when they laid the foundation, they were like, oh, hell no, that's not what this is. And they started watching and they got concerned. And that's what ended up leading to the whistleblowing, which is what ended up getting Warren Jeffs caught. So I highly doubt there is I don't know.
I mean, it's clear they're just paranoid about everything and everyone. I mean, they literally think everyone is, some infiltrator into the family that's going to ruin them or something,
Exactly. Which I will say this. I at first, when Tabby got on the stand, and it wasn't Tabby I was blaming, it was or questioning or not understanding. It was the fact that she was like 11 when she started like spending the night, not just at George's home, although George tells a slightly different story, that he and Tabby never spent the night together in the same bed. But regardless, and it was a matchmaking effort. It was really supposed to be, Tabby was supposed to be introduced to Jake, and her sister was supposed to be introduced to George. And although they were introduced that way, it was Tabby and George that ended up liking each other. And at first I couldn't understand what the F was going on. But thinking about it, when you are a person like Angela Wagner and you have boys, you have to find girls for them. And if you, I don't agree with it, but I understand her warped ass thinking here is that the younger they are when they meet your sons, that you can teach them the way that you want them to be and have ultimate control. It's very different bringing in a 11 or 12-year-old for your 13 or 14-year-old son than it is bringing a 21-year-old to date your 25-year-old son. You know,
Yeah.
that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I hope it's coming out right, because girls you can control. Exactly. Jennifer, I'm not condoning it. I just couldn't understand it at first.
Yeah, that
And
makes sense. Like they pick women who are like troubled and
exactly.
insecure and
And
stuff like that.
and I think the deal with Hannah, bless her heart, is that she was young. When she met Jake, she was what, 13 and he was 17. And she was, I think, eager to please her mother-in-law. I think that Hannah recognized from the beginning how that family functioned, and the key to having a happy life in that household is to please Angela, and she did that. And Beth Ann would have none of it, which is, but I think that Angela thought that because of Beth Ann's background, where she was very sheltered and very naive to the ways of the world, I think she thought that she could control Beth Ann. And for as naive as Beth Ann was, she knew immediately, man, this shit's fucked up. Something is not right. And she tried to
Right?
get out of it twice. Bless her heart.
She hid from them in the hotel that one time.
Yes. Yes.
She asked her brother to come get her or something like that.
Exactly. Exactly. Because she didn't want to stay at the hotel with the whole damn family in one hotel room I mean, 1 or 2 nights in an emergency situation, everybody can make do. But this wasn't fixing to be one of those 1 or 2 nights. And it's certainly not what Jake had promised her. Bless her heart.
Getting up in the middle of the night and unlocking that front door. You guys had a bar over the front door?
Us technically, no, but that was the locking system for the door when my grandfather had it.
Okay.
But we
There
locked
was
it
a
every night.
bar.
Yes,
Oh,
that's what
okay.
locked the door every night.
Okay. And you believe that she was getting up in the middle of the night and intentionally unlocking that door, removing the bar from the door, so that people could come into the house in the middle of the night and potentially harm you and the children.
I did not believe she was leaving it open intentionally to let people come in. I believe she was just leaving it unlocked, and there was a possibility somebody could come in because my grandfather had that door kicked in before.
Okay. Not leaving it unlocked. Getting up in the middle of the night and unlocking it.
Yes,
Okay. That's what you believed.
yes,
Okay. And so did your mother.
yes,
Okay. And your mother also was worried about Beth Ann molesting Sophia
yes,
and potentially Bovine.
yes.
Hey,
And
Ash
both
Brown,
you and your
good to
mother
see
also
you.
believed she could be a BCI spy.
Yes, we were advised by Clark of that.
I think you and I might have run into each other a couple times in a good way on
And how
Law
much
and
money
Crime,
did you
maybe?
give to Clark?
I don't remember how much Clark was paid. My grandmother paid him.
Okay, do you remember indicating that you had given him $10,000?
I believe that was for something else. I believe that was for me and Tabby's divorce that I paid him.
If you have
don't believe it was for
$10,000
this.
to
I could
shell
be
out for an
mistaken.
attorney, how come you ain't got
If you were upset
$10,000 to
because
shell
he
out
was
for your own place?
preoccupied with something else and he wasn't responding, and so you indicated, I paid him $10,000, I expect him to respond to us, and I'll show up at his door if I have to.
I don't remember saying that. I might have.
I'm glued to it too, Hash Brown. I've watched every single day.
You hired Barbara Moore for your divorce with Tabitha.
Yes.
She
So you
testified
wouldn't
to.
have given Clark $10,000 for Tabitha.
I got to find her
When-
testimony. I think she opted
Here,
out
when I
though.
moved back to Alaska, I hired Clark separately from this case for Tabby.
Okay. And you gave him $10,000?
I don't remember the exact price.
He never filed anything.
Yes, he's supposed to have. Tabby and I had court in Adams County, I believe.
Why
Like
would
3
you
weeks after
hire
I
an
got arrested
attorney
for
for
that court hearing
Tabby?
there.
That makes no sense. She was
And Mr. Clark represented you.
He was supposed to. I never got there.
Okay.
going to court. Oh, he was supposed to represent. Oh, I see what she's saying. She
You indicated
hired
that you
him.
hired him with
to-
the understanding that he was going to represent you. if
Yeah,
you
I got it
arrested.
now. I got it
In
now.
the beginning, for this case, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, Hash Brown. That's awful. We're concerned, Kate and I up
And you would
here.
agree
Hold on, let me
that
push pause real quick because I
both
don't
you
want
and
to
your
talk
mother
over.
believe-
Kate and I are concerned about how the cross-examination went today, and that Special Prosecutor Canepa may have opened the door for at least one jury to have reasonable doubt, because there were like a ton of times when she, oh, I'm so sorry for your family, for your friend's family's loss. I'm sorry, Ashbrand. Well, your loss too, because you knew him. That's awful. I'm sorry about that. But she started out like she would get him to sort of be unsteady on his feet and have him up against the ropes, and then she'd go walk away. You know what I mean?
And he's answering her questions well.
Yes.
Like things I was sure about, like when I heard, or like when they did, I didn't hear all the recordings. I heard some clips, but like I know the gist of them, and I like I felt like they were going to be really good against him, and then she questioned him about them, and then he had an excuse for everything, which kind of created doubt in my mind. And then him putting like Jake and Angela as like thick as thieves and George on the outside makes me feel like they would easily turn on him to save their asses. And I think George had planned, like, I don't think George shot them, but I think he was part of the plan. I just feel like she's opening a lot of room for reasonable doubt, and it's making me nervous.
She has. She's opened the door for, I completely agree, what she has done. And yes, Allie, of course you can chill here, babe. What she has done is disproven the prosecution's entire theory that this family functioned as a single unit, that if they were going to, everything was a committee meeting in that family. They were all included in everything that they did. Not that they all had an equal say, or not that they had any say all the time, right? But they were all included in all of the plans, especially the plans that included crimes. It was a committee meeting. And so it would be so for George to not have been included would have been preposterous. However, oh no. Okay, Allie, thank you for letting me know, babe. But not that what she opened the door for is that Jake and Angela were thick as thieves, and that they did keep secrets from George, and that it would be possible that he wasn't included on this. I don't believe that, but that's, all she's got to do is convince one juror. This is not
that
going good.
if you're molested as a child, and especially if you don't tell anybody or do anything to the person who did that to you, that puts any child that you have at risk.
I wouldn't agree if they don't do anything, but if they don't get therapy and work on their issues, I believe it puts them at risk.
Okay.
I will say this. Yes, the wiretaps are incredibly damning, and I'm not 100% sure at this point that he has overcome those wiretaps. There's an awful lot on those.
I haven't heard them all, but he definitely had some excuses for some important ones that she had threw out there, which,
Yes, I will say there were a few that she got, that he did offer some, what could be considered as reasonable justifications for what was said on those wiretaps. I think she could have did a better job when she would bring up those wiretaps. But I also agree with you that yes, today was Ice Cube was not here because today was not a good day. Okay. And for the prosecution at all, but overall with the proceedings, I think they're ahead. I just am worried that this testimony might be enough. All they got to get is one juror, and it's just I'm just concerned about that.
And specifically regarding
exactly, Jen, exactly.
Sisters, you didn't want them around, correct?
No,
and neither did your mother, correct?
I don't think my mother ever liked Tabby's family.
Okay. And you know that because first you were looking at Tabitha's Facebook, correct?
At which point in time?
Any point, hell.
In 2015.
When Tabby and I split up and we were trying to fix things, she tried giving me her password for her Facebook so that she could prove that she wasn't still.
I wish we knew everything that Jake and Angela said, Hash Brown. So angry that they got to opt out.
Logged into it, and anybody who uses Facebook, it's got a bar that comes across that says people you may know.
Yeah, we know how Facebook works.
She had a picture of her that came across it with a different name under it. The only friend was her best friend's dad. After that, that's the night that I went to talk to Tabby and
okay.
tell her,
Oh, that's okay, Allie. Thank
so
you for letting me know,
go
babe.
with the divorce, and it's over. That's the last time I was on her Facebook page.
So when your mother said she took over for you,
she never took over for me. I never gave her that password.
So how did she get it?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
She just read your mind?
I don't know on that one. I can answer how she got 2 or 3 of the other ones.
Okay. I'm interested in Tabitha's because
what I'm saying, 2 or 3.
You're indicating you had Tabitha's password.
Yes.
Even though Tabitha said she never gave you her password.
She gave it to me when we split up.
Okay. But she said, so when you split up, she gives you her password, even though you had assaulted her.
I have never assaulted Tabby. She assaulted me that night.
Okay. So let's go to that night. You testified here today or yesterday, that she got upset.
Yes, was fine.
And she bit you.
That was after she initially got upset with fine.
Okay. And she bit you.
Yes.
She just walk up and bite you? What were you doing at the time she bit you?
I tried to give her a hug to calm her down like I usually do.
Okay. A hug, or were you restraining her?
A hug. That's what I always did.
But that loving act, she bit you.
Yes.
Okay.
She has bad bipolar fits.
And you left out of your story where your mother said she was going to get her gun.
It's not in that. Entirely different event. Would you like this other event explained?
No, not at this moment. What I would like is for you to tell me if your mother threatened to get a gun
Absolutely,
that night that Tabby
Allie,
left.
Not
absolutely.
tonight, Tabby left, no.
Okay. So your mother is lying that she said that,
Yes,
and Tabby is lying that she said that.
yes,
Okay. You're telling the truth.
yes.
And you also left out of your story that your mother threw a 2x4 at her.
Entirely different event.
Was Tabitha afraid of the dark?
To my knowledge, not really. 50-50. Some days she'd say she was, some days she said she wasn't. I just always thought that she was making it up. But
Okay. But either way, you agree that she fled that night.
I agree she left that night.
And she never came back.
She went to her mother's after that.
Did she ever come back?
To live at the house?
Yes.
To live there, no.
She came back to visit her son because that was the only place she could visit with her son.
She
Correct?
came back to visit Vine many a times, went out to the movies and dinner with me many a times after that.
And she gets on a bike and pedals to the gas station.
Yes,
And on her way there, you and Jake pull up beside her and she tells you she's going to go call her mother, correct?
she didn't tell me she was going to go call her mother.
What'd she say?
I tried getting her to get back in the car with me and she wouldn't do it.
And how did you try to
I
get
kept asking her to get in the car and calm down. We'd go back to the house and talk things over.
Okay. But she didn't. Okay. So she gets to the gas station and you indicated you called the police
I believe I called him, yes.
because you were concerned for her safety.
Yes, she's tried to kill herself many a times, and she was having one of the bigger of her wig outfits I'd ever seen.
But she made it to a public place at that point, correct?
Yes,
And you call the police and you file a complaint against her,
I felt it was the only way to get her any kind of help.
is to say that she assaulted you.
They asked
Me
that
too,
when we
Hash
got
Brown.
there.
Sorry,
They
I meant
asked
to
what
answer
happened.
you earlier.
So you didn't say, I'm worried about her. She's tried to kill herself before. Could you please get her some help?
I've told
You
him that I
said,
was worried about
she
her.
assaulted me and I want to file a criminal complaint.
I told him I didn't want to press charges on her.
But
They
you
asked,
did press charges against her.
No, I didn't. They asked if I wanted to press charges. I said no.
There were charges filed against
Yeah,
her.
because
and you
this-
took her to the court.
Because the
take care of
state
them.
picks up the charges even
Correct?
if the
You said
victim
you took her to
doesn't.
the court to take
I
care
took her
of
to the
that.
courthouse
Press
to
them.
pay her fines. I don't know
And
what
you
the
know
fines
that.
were, but the officer asked me if I wanted to press charges, and I said
That's
no.
okay.
You felt you needed to press
I'd
charges
be
because you
curious,
were
Jen,
worried
if she
was going
does.
to Tell the police.
Oh,
what
you're
had happened,
welcome.
that you actually
Absolutely.
assaulted her and that your
I've
mother
been
threatened to
fascinated
get
by
the
this
gun
case.
Because then you wouldn't get custody of your son, correct?
No,
You heard Jake and your mother both say that that was the motive.
and my mom and brother are lying to you. They have been like everybody else.
Like everybody else is lying, like Tabitha's lying, like
Tabby,
Chelsea's lying,
I
like
didn't
everybody
say
that talked
Chelsea
about
was lying.
Frankie's lying.
I said
Everybody is
Chelsea.
lying except for you,
I did not say Chelsea was lying. I said she's mistaken.
right? And even though you've not managed to tell us anything consistent with what you told the agents at the border in 2017, you're the one that's telling the truth.
This is. Oh, overruled.
Can you say that again, please?
I said, even though you're the one that has not been able to tell us anything consistent with what you told the agents at the border, you're the one who's telling the truth.
I don't remember exactly everything I said at the border.
That's not the question. The question
Me
is,
too, Hash Brown. I'm very curious.
what you're saying
Billy's
Justice,
trial is
is
going to
not
be something else.
consistent with-
Can you imagine if Billy
I don't
stands?
remember everything I've said there.
Ooh, the internet will
Oh,
break.
yeah.
But everybody else.
Can you even imagine
I'm
Billy
saying
up
that
there?
my mom and Tabby and Jake's lying about that night.
Not at
They're
all.
mistaken one. They're confusing two different events into one.
Would this be a good time to take the?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Ladies
know-
and
we
gentlemen,
know,
we'll
Judge
be in
Deering.
recess Until 1:30.
All right.
For lunch. While you're at lunch recess. do
Don't
not
talk
discuss
to
the case
nobody.
among
Don't let
yourselves or
nobody
anyone
talk
else.
to you. Don't be doing no
Discuss this either in the
researching.
presence by anyone.
2017.
No,
Or
All right, here we go. How far in am I to the case? I've watched this thing since forever. I mean, I remember when it happened. I remember when Oxygen came out with their special, but not when they at that point. I don't think there'd been an arrest yet. And then I'd see the updates,
You may be seated.
and then in
Stable.
today's trial. We're at the 4-hour and 46-minute mark. I think George is on the stand. Just let me see. Yeah, like another couple hours, I think, or hour. Oh, you're welcome. I'm bummed that court doesn't start until
George, do you remember buying a
1
Pt.2
tomorrow.
pistol at a gun show at the Westland Mall in 2015?
don't know where that's at. I remember buying a Kel-Tec 22, yes.
Okay, at a gun show?
Yes.
Okay, and you don't remember exactly where the gun show was?
Don't remember where it was at now.
Oh
Okay.
Lord,
Have you
yeah,
ever been
George
to a
don't
gun
look
show at
like
the Westland Mall?
he's giving away tickets to the
Don't
gun
know where the
show.
Westland
Just
Mall is.
saying,
Okay, near Columbus?
Not very well.
Okay.
huh?
Handing you what's been marked as quadruple M1.
Lord Jesus,
Um,
they had
can you
to
tell us-
so much evidence. They ran through the whole
Kel-Tec
alphabet
PMR I bought from
and
my father.
had to use 3
Say it again.
It's a
letters.
Kel-Tec PMR that I bought from my father.
Okay. And what is the date on that? Date purchased?
August 10th, 2017.
No,
Or sorry.
sorry.
That might be
No.
completion, sorry.
Yeah. Purchase date there.
Sorry.
Yes.
January 31st,
Yes.
2015.
And on that, you actually used 260 Peterson Road, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you indicated that was for your father?
Yes.
Okay.
You know what I wonder too is how much about today's testimony Billy Wagner is aware
Do you
of.
recall if your father was with you on that day?
Yeah, because he's like not even.
Everybody was with you?
They aren't calling him, are they?
No, because he's got a trial coming up.
Handing you what's
And,
been marked as quadruple M2. Can you look at that as a 2-page document?
But I think they're all, well, at one point they were. I don't know if Jake and Angela still are. Jake and Angela might still be, in case, because they're subject to recall. So, I had heard the same thing, Hash Brown. I know obviously Jake's lawyer was there when Jake testified. But it's
Yeah, it
my
looks like
understanding they're
another
all
gun
at the
receipt from my brother.
same jail.
Okay, and the date on that was?
Hang on.
All the guys are at the same jail?
They're all at the same jail. Like the jail that they're at has, you know, a woman's side and a man and a
131.15.
man's side,
Okay,
but
and
a
can you
female
tell
and
us where
male.
that was?
But they're all being held at the
Western
same
Mall.
jail pending, you know, the trial.
And do you know what kind of gun that is?
Now, I think though, when Jake took the plea deal, which was last year,
I don't think it says on
I
there.
think that they, and Angela too, I think that they moved Angela and Jake, but they were brought back obviously to testify. They're all at the same place, and
It
Billy
says
and
long gun,
George
five
have
different
always
shotguns.
been there. They're separated, Billy and George, but
And then,
they're in the same location.
well, do you remember your brother being with you?
I
on that
don't
day?
particularly remember him being there that day. I remember my father, but
Okay. And quadruple M3? Again, if you can tell us the purchase date on that.
free date,
Left hand, bottom left hand,
131.15.
same date.
Yes.
Okay. And what is that gun?
Colt railgun.
Or Walther Colt, right?
Yes.
1911.
Yes.
Bought that same day.
That's what that says. Yes.
Okay. So you're all three at the same gun show. Jake buys 2 guns, you buy a gun for your father.
I
And
bought
you
one.
still
for my
don't
father.
remember that 1911 22?
I've never seen it.
Never seen it.
Never seen it. I don't even remember my brother being there that day. I'm not saying he wasn't, but I don't remember him being there.
You don't deny that.
I'm not saying that he wasn't there. I'm just saying I don't remember him being there.
Yeah, because I remember
And
there
how
was
long
a
of a drive is it
discussion in one of
to
the
Columbus
groups
from
about
here,
where
from where you
they're
live
at.
Peterson Road.
And
Maybe an hour and a half.
Okay.
Maybe.
You've certainly gone to gun shows before with Jake and your brother.
I've gone to gun shows with my dad, my brother, my uncle. I've gone to them by myself. Many of them.
I think initially they were all 4 in a different place. Then Angela and Jake
obviously
took their
would have
plea
driven
deals
together,
and they
correct?
went somewhere else.
I remember my dad going with me. I don't remember my brother, but if he was there, he might have, he might not have. I can't answer. I
Yeah,
don't remember him
hash
being
brown.
there.
That's the other thing. I don't know.
But you remember that
I'm
that
just
gun was for
curious
your father.
how
The
much
Kilsmith, yes.
of the
Typically
testimony
why my father and I went to that gun show was to buy
Bill-
that gun.
that happened today Billy is aware of.
And Jake just
Because
happened to be at the same place
George is
buying 2 guns. But
telling
you
all the
remember those
things
I
about
don't
Billy's
remember him being
crimes.
there.
And you don't remember the 1911 22 that was used to kill 5 of these
I've never seen
family
that gun.
members.
No, I've never seen it.
You talked about when you get drinking your caffeine, you just start ranting, basically, correct?
Drinking and taking caffeine. It's two things together.
Drinking alcohol?
No.
All
Red
right,
Bulls,
Allie,
Monsters,
sweet
Stackers.
dreams, babe.
Stackers are a capsule.
So and taking caffeine caps.
Yes.
Okay. Is that what back and bodies are?
No.
What are back and bodies?
They're like a joint relief pill thing.
Okay.
Okay. So I've been live now for 2 hours, 41 minutes and 40 seconds. And we still got like a long time before he's done. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end it tonight Because I'm kind of getting tired. Are you getting tired, Kate?
Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah, and it's kind of dragging on because I'm Angela Canepa. So I think what I'm going to do is this.
She takes way too long to ask questions.
Way too long. I may go live in the morning just to finish this up. And then if they're only going to be bringing the jury in from 1 o'clock, they usually end at 5. So we should be able to I should be able to consolidate and go over what takes place tomorrow during testimony tomorrow night. I think that's what I'm going to do. Because now I'm getting sleepy. I'm too old for keeping these late hours. Plus, hey, now look, I know you, especially Kate, you live very near the North Pole where penguins and stuff hang out because it snows where you're at and all of that business. You're like in Penguin Town, whereas I am down here in the Floridas. Y'all, it was 64 degrees for a high today and the wind was out of the north. Now I realize
I would beg for that.
That's
like
not
30.
cold when you come from Penguin Town like Kate over here, but
I'm always cold though. 64, I need to have a sweatshirt on.
Florida is nowhere near Penguin Town. This is flamingo country, okay? And 64 is it was the wind that was the worst, made it colder. But I am giving today's weather 2 thumbs down. Do not approve. Don't recommend. So
I even need my shower water to be like flaming hot or I'm freezing.
Me too. I like to not only be hot, have a nice hot shower, because it's relaxing, but I also feel like the hotter the shower, the cleaner you get. No matter
I need a good scalding.
Yes, exactly. Just in case.
Second-degree burn shower.
Correct. Just how there's that one spot in your back on your back that's kind of hard to reach. And I have a feeling that everybody has like 1 square inch on their back that probably doesn't actually get, unless you use one of those handle brushes or whatever. So the scalding hot water takes care of that because it just, burns that whole layer of skin off and you start fresh. So if you have any germs or anything, you're straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and my hubby figured out that girls need the shower hotter because we're usually shorter and the stream takes a little longer to get to us. But men, they're closer to it, so they got to turn it down a little bit because it's like hot.
You know what? You show right, Kate.
That's got to be it. Because even when you
got to be it.
Even when you bend down just a little bit in the shower.
Yes.
It's cold on the bottom. You know what I mean?
Just
a couple inches.
It is.
Makes a difference. So
you're not wrong about that. You're 100% correct.
I think we figured it out.
Look at Kate over here solving the world's problems one at a time.
Because every time he got in the shower, he's like, "Man, you're trying to kill me." I'm like,
mine would say the same thing too. What are you trying to do? Burn your skin off? Just start all over again? Mm-hmm. I was like, well, maybe if you would, if you wouldn't keep me poor, I could just go do the dermablading or whatever it is and start fresh that way. But this is my homemade way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, woof. All right, you guys. Thank you so much, Kate, for coming up. I always like when you're on my panel. I always have a good time with you.
I always have a good time with you too.
Oh, good.
I love having a fun person to crack jokes with.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Me too, because okay, look, the crime that happened, super serious, right? It is. It's an awful thing that happened. And, it breaks my heart for their families. And I think what's extra messed up about it is the fact that there were babies in the beds.
Yeah.
At in Frankie's and Hannah Hazel's house. They're over,
and that a whole three generations
Yes.
of a family just wiped out, you know?
Right. And Jake had to walk
Or two
by.
generations, sorry.
Yeah,
the baby.
two. Walk by Frankie and Hazel. Well, it's Frankie's son, but Frankie and Hazel's oldest son, who was sleeping on the couch. And then,
Mhm.
to add insult to injury, when he got up there and testified about what he did, Jake had the unmitigated gall to sit up there and say that he didn't worry about picking up the shell casings from Frankie and Hannah Hazel's house because it was too messy. You judgy motherfucker.
It sounded like to me that if the baby had woke up, the one who's laying on the couch, that he said something like, "Oh, I was afraid he would wake up and recognize me," or something like that. And I was
Yes.
like, would he have done that to him too if he woke up, you know?
Yes. That's what, what's even more shocking is when he was in Frankie and Hannah Hazel's house, how he didn't see the baby in the bed with them.
Mm,
And the baby could have been hit.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's,
Crazy.
there's a million one things that could have made that could have gone wrong, not wrong, that could have made this situation
Way worse.
worse. Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, I am completely shocked that nothing happened to either one of those babies, which is,
I am too.
I don't know that I believe Jake's version with respect to Hannah's baby, or even actually either babies, to be honest with you, because I find it odd that both Hannahs were found pretty much in the exact same position. And I actually sort of think that Jake did that at the end. I do think that I know what he said when he testified, and I know what he said in his proffer, but I don't think that's the truth. I think he did it to humiliate Hannah May and Hannah Hazel. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the
Probably.
odds that? I mean, there's a significant difference in age between Hannah Hazel's baby and Hannah May's baby. And it's like chronologically, 6 months is not that long, but you guys all know there's a world of difference between a newborn baby
Yeah.
and a 6-month-old. And
Mhm.
it's not that I don't believe that both women breastfed. It's just I find it very difficult to believe that they both on the same side. It's way
At
too
the same time, like just happening at
exactly.
the same time at night. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little too icky for me, and I do think it was intentional. I just think that Jake is sadistic. I think that so is George. I 100% believe Beth Ann when she testified that of what George and Jake had said to her, what they threatened her with in that barn. But yeah, I believe that Jake and George both have
And I mean, they've been taught to be master manipulators, and it's showing,
yes,
in his cross that he's pretty like good at it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
skating out of stuff. He was prepped very well,
he
and
was prepped very well.
I mean, I feel like he's been prepped his whole life for this, though. Like with the family he
Well,
had.
yeah, because they taught him how to behave and to speak to law enforcement.
Yeah.
How to avoid making incriminating statements. George knows exactly. It's like he was bred for this, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. They should have picked somebody way more tougher than her, because man, they literally were bred for this. And I think like George seems to be a little more on like the intellectual side of than Jake to me. I don't know why. I don't know why I feel that way. I just get like the feeling that he He
George,
seems like he's more of like a thinker, think stuff out type dude.
he's quieter. So yes,
Quieter.
I
Yeah, that
agree.
means a lot.
I think he is more of a thinker than
My
Jake
son's
is.
like that. He's always in his head and he's
Mhm.
quiet. He's not loud and obnoxious, you know. Jake gives me like the loud and obnoxious.
Wanting all the attention,
Yeah.
doing things to focus. I think you're 100% correct. And I also think that George isn't as reactionary as Jake, although he has a temper. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, but
It comes out. You can see hints of it.
mhm. But I think what the thought process was with having Angela Canepa be doing Angela Canepa handling the cross is that George does have documented. You can hear it in the wiretaps, and you could, and Beth Ann testified about it. He has disdain for women. He does think that women are beneath men, and especially beneath him. And I think that they wanted her to do the cross because they wanted to get George to come to that mask to fall, and they wanted him to show disdain for women and how he could be riled, and how, but the thing is it's not just a female. It has to be a strong
A strong
a
female.
strong female, really ideally. Sub The best person to have cross-examined George would have been someone like who was opinionated and does it. And these are not negative qualities, but to him they are. A strong, opinionated, take no bullshit, will keep asking you the questions over and over until they get the answer they want, like his mother.
Yeah.
That's what they needed.
Yes. And they don't have that
And
at
they
all.
don't have that. If they had brought somebody with similar personality traits up there to cross-examine George, I promise you, we would be seeing a different George. I promise you.
I totally agree with that. I think so too.
She's like right at the verge of getting him to get frustrated and slip.
And then she just backs off and lets him chill. Like, what are you got to be like, boom, 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 when it comes to that, because once you get them in that mood, you got to just start firing off so they don't have time to think about their answer. She lets it go too long, and then he gets to formulate and calculate a response.
And he gets to calm down. That's the problem. He gets to calm down, center himself, and, answer the question. And plus,
the Johnny Depp trial, when they cross-examined Amber Heard, they did such a good job with that. Like, just snap it, boom. She was a very, like, quiet-sounding woman, you know what I mean? But she did a really good job of just firing off questions and pissing her off and getting, you know what I mean?
I think what set Camille apart and what made everybody who watched the trial fall in love with her is that she is an incredibly intelligent woman, and she is an excellent lawyer. But
she did great in that cross.
Yes.
I was on the edge of my seat, like, oh my goodness, she's like,
I think she studied Amber.
Yeah.
I think she watched, but that's what makes for a good attorney. You have to know your opponent. And I think that she studied Amber. I think she paid attention when she was going through discovery and listening to the audio recordings to hear for what things, what makes her tick, what buttons to push. Yeah. And Camille did it.
And Camille, I think it was so surprising too, because she's just like a beautiful little petite, seemingly quiet woman. And then when she came up to do cross, it was like, you look at Amber, who's like really aggressive, and she like matched her in that same way. And I was just like, whoa, I was not expecting this, but she did a great job.
She was able, through her questions, to get Amber to drop the mask of this timid, I'm in fear for my safety and my life, and all I ever wanted to do was love Johnny and take care of Johnny. And, he is doing all the drinking, all the cocaine, all the ecstasy, all the things, and beating the crap out of me. And she's an actress, not a good one. Even on the stand, she's
She's
just not.
terrible.
She's terrible, but she's terrible in movies too, frankly.
Yeah.
She's just not. Amber, if you're out there, girl, acting ain't for you. Give it up.
Right.
Find something else. Find something else. But yeah, she watched Amber and she knew what to ask her and the tone to use and how to do it, which is what caused Amber's mask to slip. And I really do think that I agree with what Jennifer said. I think the defense has been paying attention before the trial and during the trial at the way that Angela does the how she is as a prosecutor, her way, her tact, her demeanor. And I think they prepared George for it, because I think they knew full good and well, based on, everything that I said, that it's very apparent that George does not like women. And I think they knew, they were fairly certain that she was going to be the one sent to question him. And I think you're exactly right. I think they prepared him for it. I wish
like
that,
I said, they've been bred for this their entire
Mhm.
lives. I mean, they focus on this aspect more in their life than they did of like school, and they heavily so much focus on like cops and
Mhm.
keeping out of getting in trouble with the police, and how they're your enemy, and how to talk to them, and how to do all kinds of illegal shit. So I mean,
Correct. Because if you're a crimes, if you're a family like this family was, who is just committing crimes all, forever. I mean, there was the insurance fraud, the arson, the theft of the gasoline, the scrapping, the, all of it, all of it. Part of being a criminal, is not getting caught. And if you're
Mhm.
raising little criminals, if you're a parent and you and your spouse or your partner are criminals, and you're raising your children to be criminals, there is an element of criminality that is to avoid getting caught, but knowing what to do if you get caught. That's the other part of it. Just like Goodfellas, everybody gets
Mhm.
pinched, but what's important is you didn't rat. You gave them nothing, and you never ratted out your friends. I'll never forget that line. But yeah, that's, and that's why they,
and the two slimiest ones, and well, I don't know. I guess Billy was. I don't know. Billy seems
I
like
think
even though he was involved-
Angela and Jake were probably the slimiest ones,
yeah,
honestly.
the two slimiest ones snitch. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like that's how I see it. You know what I mean? Like George and Billy seem a little bit. George and Billy kind of give me the impression. Like I know that they were definitely involved, but I feel like they were more of the like just go with the plan type guys. You know what I
They
mean?
need to be told what to do, not take charge.
Yeah.
Hash Brown, yes, I do. I do think ultimately he will be found guilty. At this point anyway. I need to see, of course I have to, the more witnesses they put on the stand for the defense, because I've seen the pastor that testified. Frankly, he didn't really help or hurt. He was kind of a wash. Their
And
blood expert.
How many witnesses has the defense put up so far?
Okay, so they put up the preacher guy, the blood expert, the lawyer, and George. I think they've done 4, maybe 5 at this point, including George. But they didn't really I was particularly unimpressed with their expert witness on blood spatter. Very unimpressed. I just, you know, I don't know. We'll have to, I don't know. I'm very curious about all of this, Hash Brown. It depends on who all they call. And it's not just really about who they call, but what they're able to accomplish while their witnesses are on the stand, and to be fair, honestly, the only witness that they've actually put on the stand that's been even a little bit effective is actually fucking George.
Yeah, I think George has been the most effective yet, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. All right, well, now it's 11:05. I have got to get off of here because I got to get to bed, but I will be live tomorrow morning, not at the butt crack of dawn though, y'all. I mean, I'm not going to start my live till like 10. I mean, I'll be up for...
I might be taking my nap by then, but if I'm not, I'll be
Okay, babe. Well, you be here. But yeah, so that's what we'll do. I'll go live at 10 and then, of course, catch up the rest of it tomorrow night. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Kate, for being just your wonderful self. The magic that is you. Thank you for coming.
Me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're so welcome.
I'll make sure I bring the sex bots next time too.
Please do. Please do. Could you get them to say some more interesting lines though? I'm kind of tired of...
I'll have them change it up next time.
Yeah, tell them to be a little more creative. All right, you guys. Thank you, everybody, again for being here. If you haven't done so already, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. All right. Bye.
Yeah. Good night.
Bye. Good night.